There's one right behind you, look.
Oh, no, I don't, I think she's saving the one, this one's not saving. So this one's open. You want this chair? Are you sure?
Yeah, it's okay.
And there's one back here you can have too.
It's okay.
That one right here. Right here? Right, yeah. Oh, sit down. No, you might fall down and hurt yourself. Hey.
I'm fine right with that. Sure. You can have, you can sit right here. You can sit next to Sunny, she won't mind. Yeah. Okay.
This can't be you sit down on that.
I was always told to
Fall down and
give
hurt yourself.
to get old people and ladies your chair. Well, so now it's mostly ladies because there ain't a lot of them over there.
Utility meeting come to order. Right here. Presentation, approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to move it to the regular town hall meeting. Second.
A motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Adjustment report.
Okay. So Ben Combs, his adjustment was those penalties that were approved at January's meeting. Dayton Elementary, theirs was an adjustment into, because of a meter reading error. Again, also for the LLC, the CZDJJ, theirs was a wrong meter. The D&D and Scott Desmond, those bills were swapped from tenant to landlord because the tenant had moved. The same with Scott and Jessica. They were swapped from old resident to new resident. And then Lieber's GIC, hers was also a meter reading error. So that was it on those.
Anything else?
Make a motion we accept the adjustment report.
Motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Clerk treasurer report.
Okay, so first thing, you have two account print-offs, one from 283 Washington. You can see on the wastewater, there was a $120.12 charge. There was a leak outside, it did not go down the drain, so that resident is simply asking that we give them a credit of what their bill normally is to make it their $50.61 normal charge. So they're asking that we credit their account the $69.51 to bring it down to that $50.61. You just want me to go through them all at once?
I make a motion that we approve the adjustment to the Washington Street address.
Second.
There's a motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Okay, David, at 668 Harrison Circle, Mark, this is the one that was out of town, or out of state, right? Okay, so this customer was out of state, and we happened to do, I believe it was meter reads, and realized that he had a continuous leak, so Mark went out and checked, couldn't find the customer, got a hold of him, found out he was gone. Come to find out, that was when we had the negative 50-degree weather, so I believe it was a line to his dishwasher, had frozen and busted, so it had flooded his parts of his kitchen and everything. So again, he is asking that the wastewater, if we could credit him what his normal balance that he runs because he lost 7,000 gallons of water. So he's asking for the credit of $49.65 to bring his wastewater charge down to the normal $30.75 that he pays.
The house was frozen inside,
No, the hose to the dishwasher,
the hose.
to the, right, Mark?
Yes, I think it was more.
Was it internal in the dishwasher or?
Whatever the water fee line was to the dishwasher first.
His dishwasher held some of that water, but then it did roll over into his kitchen. So, I mean, yes, some of it went down the drain, so we were because his normal usage is 1,000 gallons. So that credit would just bring him down to his normal,
Make a motion, we approve the adjustment for the Harrison Circle address.
Second.
A motion and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Okay, so the next thing, so I just want to thank everybody for being patient with me these past couple months. We do have a new utility clerk, and she is here tonight. Tammy, if you want to say, this is Tammy, this is our new utility clerk. So she started training last week, so she's finishing training this week. And I have posted on the window and also on the back table, we will start new office hours starting next week, effective the 18th. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the office will be open from 9 to 1. Tuesday, or excuse me, not 9 to 1, that's what it was, 9 to 4. Tuesdays and Thursdays will be from 1 to 7. And the last 2 Fridays of the month, we will stay open until 7 p.m. Because we know a lot of people get paid, and those are the last 2 months when bills are due. So we will be open for those later hours the last 2 Fridays of the month. I also, now that we have the utility clerk in here, the past month and a half that I've been in there by myself, I want to thank Tammy Nice. She has been in the office with me every single evening, helping me get invoices and APBs and check stubs all back in order for all of 2018. So she has been a great help. She was my part-time utility clerk there for a bit. I came to find out the other day that Dollar General, I've made the board aware through email, that they never got a water account set up. So since they've been there, they've not paid for water. But luckily, they, are a new building, so they had zero meter. So Mark was able to go out and get me an up-to-date reading. So we are in the process of working with BF&S to calculate what their charges will be and get them active and running. Since January's board meeting, we've got the credit card machine in the office. So from the time we got the credit card machine in the office, the Friday of last January's meeting, so from that date to February 28th, we had 22 credit card payments in-house for $3,724. So I feel like, we're getting a lot more payments in, and now that people are realizing that the machine is back in there, and that they're able to have it free of charge. So other than that, I think that's it on the utility side.
Welcome Shannon Starr, filling in for Reed Murtaugh. Do you have anything for you?
I have a couple items, thanks for having me. Reed left some instructions for me regarding a numbering issue. Oh,
That'll be on the next meeting.
the salary ordinance.
Yeah, that'll be on the next meeting.
Okay, I don't have anything now.
Doing old business. Dave Crandall, utility contract.
Hello, Dave Crandall, address 7201 Wesleyan Drive, Dayton United Methodist Church. We've been requested to come up here and speak after meeting with Reed and a couple of the board members and the past attorney Joe. We've sent a letter to all council members, and I'm here to answer any questions I may be able to and see where we stand on the request for repayments of funds.
board received a letter from the church asking for consideration of 3 different items. I can't speak for the board, but there is some further investigation that needs to go into those items before I think the board can, really make any type of a decision. And, I think we're in the process of doing that.
Yeah, we got Reed looking into it, and, we really gotta have a meeting among ourselves to get into it real deep on.
What's he looking into?
Well, I think
Credits, or whether they get a credit, or what's the term limit on how long it goes.
Like,
I read
there's
it
a money,
It
there's
says
a money
2 years,
credit.
but in the thing, it doesn't say there's any time limit on it, when it's supposed to be paid back, so I
Yeah.
think he's looking into it.
Is the sound on?
Yes, but some of it.
Thank you. Could we ask if you could pull the mics closer, maybe?
Yes, bottom line, I think, there does need to be more investigation done, before we can give the church the answers that they're looking for on the concerns.
Okay, Reed had asked me to come and be on the agenda for this month, so I guess I'm kind of confused on why I'm here then.
It seems like he never.
Well, Reed's on vacation, so I'm not sure why he wanted you here either. I do know he requested that either you make an appearance or send a letter, and we did receive the letter.
Are you able to share your concerns or your questions, so maybe we can expedite the process?
No.
I think we're trying to look into what is owed, because there's certain stuff, like interest rates and different stuff where, there's just legal stuff that he's looking into before we can figure out.
Could you speak up, please, Tyrone?
You looking into interest rates, into everything, before they can give you any kind of number, he has to go through everything, see what's valid, what's not, what's actually in the stormwater.
What they're asking about here, so everybody knows about it. In 2002, the Dayton United Methodist Church was required to sign a utility service agreement in order to receive an occupancy permit from the town of Dayton for our sanctuary addition. We have attached a copy of the agreement since few of you were on the council at that time. We wish to present these 3 requests for consideration. Number 1, the stormwater recovery fee of $23,230 was paid for services the town never provided. According to Indiana state statutes, municipalities have 2 years to provide services or return the fees. Number 2, in the agreement, a sewer was installed per town request, but no credit for oversizing was issued as required per town ordinance. Ordinance 99-6 was passed in 6/7 of 99. Oversized credit costs of the sewer were $20,511 as per Fairfield Contractors bid in 2001. So they're asking for that in credits or something. The church borrowed funds to pay for the sewer costs and stormwater recovery fees, and thus incurred interest. Sewer oversized credit times 5% times 12 years is $12,306. The $23,000 times 5% times 15 years is $17,000. The church requests the town Dayton Utility Board to refund the $23,230 for stormwater recovery fee. In lieu of any refund for the sewer oversizing and interest, we request exemption for all future recovery fees, waterworks, wastewater, and stormwater, on our 4.846 acres within the town limits, and on our 13.9 undeveloped acres south of the town. And then asking for our response in writing. So that's what we're deciding on. And apparently Reed's looking into that.
recovery fee doesn't get returned, but something about infrastructure. I spoke with Michelle, and she said something about the infrastructure part of it is, so we're still trying to figure out what that is and what that isn't, and Reed was supposed to find out for us, so,
You said Michelle's out from BFS.
yes, Michelle Ross.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Not me.
I think they were referring to, if the conversation I heard properly from Mike Smith and from Michelle Watts was the stormwater. They're in agreement that should have been paid back, the $23,230. And that's actually all we're asking. We're trying to be good neighbors. We feel like we paid $73,470.18 and show that justified. And I know you're still working through it, but there were 2 town council members that requested myself and Mr. Adams, the builder at the time, to come to the meeting, that you had it with your attorneys, and we kind of feel like we're getting nowhere. We waited 17 years, and now we waited another month since your last request, so now we're here again. So we really feel like something needs to happen.
Why did it take the church 17 years to bring this to council's attention?
Can't speak for anyone besides myself, but I called you 16 months ago and spoke with you for about roughly an hour, and I still haven't got an answer back until the meeting we had with the attorneys.
In refresh your memory, we didn't have any details. This town, myself and Tyler were 2 people that were involved in the initial meeting with you and Bob Adams and the attorneys. And myself and Tyler, the attorney, got your complaints or points literally, maybe 3 weeks before that meeting. That was the first time that we had ever gotten any type of a detail of what the church's concerns were. So, it's not like we've known for 16 months or whatever what the concerns were.
We could agree to disagree. I made it very clear the stormwater was paid, and I told you what it was over the phone, asked if you guys had any documents, because you should have every document we should have, correct?
We should.
If they were both executed from your town and our church? Okay.
Yeah, in a perfect world, we would have that, yes.
All right, very good.
Is that the agreement that we couldn't find here?
Yeah, the service utility agreement that was evidently, missing from this building, and we did have to get copies of it
After
after.
the copies up here too. Literally that meeting, first time I saw a copy of that.
Yeah.
And I personally, went to the Methodist Church on 2 different occasions, to request copies, and also did it over the telephone, to help rebuild the file that was missing from this office.
Dave, so you guys are only asking for the 23, or all of this? I mean, I know the wastewater sounds like it's pretty confirmed if BFNS
Well,
knew didn't do it, if they, once we talk to them.
What do you mean it's confirmed?
Oh, I mean, if you said that, they said that BFNS looked.
You mean stormwater?
Stormwater, yeah.
So I guess here's where it goes back and forth. The ordinance is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Oversizing. Requires repayment. And then we've got other documents that actually requires repayment and interest and penalties.
Our attorney, our normal attorney is not here, okay, and both attorneys in that meeting agreed that contract law supersedes ordinances.
No, they didn't.
Okay, and we were wanting some information from the church. You referred to the state statute a time or two in that letter, and part of the investigating that our attorney is doing is seeing where that's at in state statute. If you can provide that information to them, that would be beneficial.
Sure, we've sent 3 registered mailings to the, hold on,
The statute that
hold on. We sent 3 registered letters to all 5 council members and asked for written responses dating back 18 months, and we received 0, not 1, 0 written responses. So feel free to send us a written response with whatever you'd like. We'd love to solve this problem. Love to.
We are investigating it. As we
Could you answer why it's taking 18 months not to even get a response?
Well, I think that the responses that you're talking about, had to do with matters other than what we're talking about here.
Dave?
The registered letters you're talking about, I never received them because I haven't received mail in 2 years, so.
Did you receive the most recent one?
Just the most recent, but the ones last year, I never received, never had any chance to answer them. So,
I think that was one letter that our attorneys at that time instructed the board on that letter. first delivery anyway.
I never heard about it, got any information.
Well, that was done a couple of years ago.
But I think we need to-
Exactly.
So do we have a timeline? Are we thinking months, are we thinking years, days? What are we thinking here?
I mean, it's been 17 years, and it may take us a few months to do our due diligence and get back. You know, I can't speak, you know, again, our attorney's not here. You know, I don't know where he is in the process. You know, maybe he's about done, maybe he's not, you know. I do know he's, you know, seeking counsel of UFNS, which is who the town uses for service utility agreements. They were instrumental at the time in doing the service utility agreement. Hawkins Environmental actually did it, and they were later bought out by BFNS. We're fortunate in the fact that the people that worked for Hawkins Environmental at that time currently work for BFNS.
Correct, the owners still do too.
Yeah.
The former owners, I guess.
So
Mr. Starr, do you have any insight on this? Did Mr. Murtaugh fill you in?
I was just told last. Sorry. I was just told last week to sub for Reed. I'm sorry, I'm not the normal.
No problem.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry, I can't.
Bob, anything you'd like to add?
Did Mr. Murtaugh send the town board any letter regarding this?
We've
We
got
got
some
copies.
email.
I mean, we got copies of the church's letter.
Did he send any response to the town board?
No.
Has he sent any response at all to any of the town board members?
Well, he is, I thought on some of those emails, he sort of answered he and Michelle from BFNS and decided on a couple of things, like returning the monies and stuff. It sounded to me like they decided half of these items, and
I think that there's more information. You know, I hate for us to speak for them, they're not here to talk about, but my understanding is they have more information now than what they had earlier as they have investigated. I don't know that that's set in stone. Again, you know, Reed needs to.
What I think Reed needs to do is email. These guys have been asking nicely, and we've had a lot of time here, and we're coming to this meeting. I think it's out of respect for the church, we ought to have some kind of an answers and say, at least put a time limit of 10 days or 2 weeks or something. He should be able to answer these things within the next 5 days if he's here. Why don't we have a set of time that we want to get this? I've been here for 15 years, and it always seems like it's always putting that church off, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. When you guys weren't here, I was here. And from the old board presidents to way back when, we talked about these problems a long time now. I think we need to give them a date on when we want to have this answer.
So you're saying this is not a new subject that's been going on for 15 years?
I think it's been going on and off for 15 years, that they've hinted around for credits and stuff. I remember our vast board president brought it up a couple times.
I mean, is there something in writing, or were they presented claims to the town and the prior boards never acted on it? Or?
I think it was like right here. They come with a meeting set, and we don't have any information for them, which we should have information for them.
I've been on the board for 4 years, and you know, never had any definitive statement from the church until December of last year, when it would become known that the church was not willing to talk to the developer about easements or anything until this was resolved. And by this, at that time, we didn't know what this was. You know, we did not know any of these statements, you know, other than there's some vague fact about, you know, they want some money back for sewer, or for sand.
Not a vague
I don't feel like that's false, because we've already spoken to the developers at least 3 or 4 times prior to December.
You're holding it over your head.
Can we agree to this, that we can come up in a reasonable amount of time and give them some answers, like set 10 days or 2 weeks or something, so they have I think the developers would like us to come up with it. I think the church would like us to come up with it.
Well, is this a stumbling block in the easements continuing on to the development?
I wouldn't call it a stumbling block, but the meeting that you were privy to, we said we want to take care of old business before we start talking about any new business with the town.
Right.
We've talked to the developers, and we've told them we'd like to get this cleared up prior to moving forward, but one does not connect the other.
Well, I mean, it kind of sounds like it does.
No,
It doesn't.
You're making.
I told you that at the meeting.
Okay, the two are totally separate?
Totally separate.
Okay, just so we're clear on that.
Well, until we hear more from Reed, he's on vacation. I would like to say by the end of the month, or for the next month's meeting, we'll know where we're at, and we can make decisions on what you guys want, so. But I'm not Reed, and I don't know who he's got to talk to yet, so, and he has not gotten back with any of us since the last meeting on what we instructed him to find out, so.
Do we know when he's getting back? Or
I just texted him.
when he gets back, I'd like to know. I'll call him myself. And we can get this solved.
So I guess the meeting that we had, that was the closed door meeting, Reed's, in summary, I guess, Reed's big point was he wanted transparency. He didn't want this meeting to be in private, he wanted it to be a public meeting. That's why he insisted after we declined probably 50 times to come here and speak. We didn't want to be involved with all of the other town drama that goes on. So we're here, per his wish. He said we need to come one time to do this, and now it sounds like it's gonna be multiple times. Because next time's not gonna be.
I apologize,
No,
I
I'm
did
just-
not know he wasn't gonna be here, so it may have been cleared up this month, but we didn't know he was, I didn't know he was gonna be.
I'll just reiterate, since you weren't gonna be, just making sure you know as well.
But hopefully by next month, we can have it straightened out, or we can have if we can get straightened out before then, we can have a special meeting.
Sounds great, and whatever you guys need, feel free to email us. We're easy to reach.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shady Lane, Wesleyan Drive discussion.
I wanted that added to the agenda because I've had a chance to have some conversations with Ron in regards to what he can do to help us get this taken care of back there, smash it, make it go away, get it done, whatever we're gonna do with it. I had talked to him about the loop system, and he's in agreement with the fact that he would allow easements for the loop. I talked to him about the road back on Shady Lane, the S-curves. He's in agreement that he can soften those curves, widen them, to what we need, and possibly work on some cul-de-sacs. So Ron, if you want to elaborate more on what.
Okay. First of all these residents and every homeowner back on Shady Lane, we need answers. This has been going on too long. You know, it devalues our property. You don't know what's going to happen with the lanes and roads back there. It's just a bad situation. But we need to come to an end on all this stuff and stop all this arguing and stop having things where certain things are held over people's heads, whatever you want to call it. But I suggested, I've been talking to several people, from Greg the developer to some of you guys, to Tammy, to whatever, and I don't agree with all this, but Ashley and I talked for 4 hours one day, and I basically said, my goal is, Cindy and I's land, we don't want roads put through our land at all. And we want to eliminate that, otherwise we and a lot of the residents will go to court to fight that, okay? Because it's not right to take people's land. But I think we can come to some terms, like between the two curves of Shady Lane, if we soften the inside corners by 4 or 5 foot, and it was suggested about making that 20 foot wide instead of 16 foot wide. I think Ashley, you, I, and Mike talked about it down the lane there and thought that would be a good idea. And then I talked to you later after the engineers did a report, and we came to a conclusion that that would probably be a good idea. And so if you need 4 more foot, we'll give you the right-of-way for that 4 foot for the town. That way all of Shady Lane is 20 foot wide But what we're trying to do is, all of us bought back there because of that lane and because of the look of it. And us residents have spent a lot of money. We lifted a house up, Gail and Steve's house, we lifted it up, moved it to the back corner to give it an illusion and a look of what it is. And we firmly believe, everybody, that we don't want that changed for any reason. There is no reason, we've lived back there 45 years, there's no reason to change it except tweak it a little bit. One thing, at the end of Shady Lane is a 3/4 size cul-de-sac, and I took and added to make it a full size, 80 foot around. So it's 1/3 gravel and it's 2/3 asphalt. And if you guys wanna, I personally don't think you ought to spend the money to blacktop it, but if you wanna blacktop it, that's okay. And even if we have to, give you a foot or so of land around the edge. And the biggest thing that started a lot of this was that looping these water lines from Shady Lane to Wesleyan Drive and then on South Street. And we are willing to give you an underground easement to loop the water lines, to complete that. So, and the only other thing, you guys proposed, somebody proposed a cul-de-sac at the end of Wesleyan Drive. I don't think you need one. There's plenty of room back there, but if you put one, it needs to be moved down to the end of Wesleyan Drive and make an 80-foot circle and take a 4th from Gail and Steve, a 4th from Ron and Cindy, a 4th from Ashley and Lisa, and a 4th from the Methodist Church. And be fair about it, because you guys stuck that cul-de-sac 100% in our field, one of the best building spots in Dayton, and you put that right at the end of it, so it ruins 2 of our fields, our building spots. And that's where one of my sons is going to build a house at some time and live, so. But anyway, I would suggest we need to come to a conclusion, because I feel this is dangling on over our heads, and many times it's been mentioned, if you guys give the water rights, we'll do something else. We'll clear this up. It's on film part of the time, and it's documented. So let's get past that, and let's get all this stuff done. Between the church cleaned up, our property cleaned up, but we need it done soon. All these people out here, you can talk to them. I think they're concerned about it. And we don't want our lane changed, and we don't want our area changed. It's as simple as that. I think Sean Alkire from the police department, he's emailed people before, right on Facebook. There's no safety issue, that there's no reason to even spend this money. I've checked with Sally Fahey before. She said you only need to update things you only need to put cul-de-sacs and stuff on new building and stuff. The old existing things, you just don't go around and change all of them unless you just got an ungodly amount of money or something. But, Shady Lane there's no problems back there. There's never been an accident back there. There's buses turn around, garbage trucks turned around. There's just, it could be a little bigger circle back there, but you guys are putting 100% of taking this land, not from the other owners, but from Ron and Cindy. And our land is as important. We spent 45 years placing every tree back on that property, so everything looks good from the split rail fence to everything. And it's not going to be, we don't want it taken from us. We don't want roads put over our ground. If you guys want a road, you want to put it through your house or something, that's fine. But that land, that's our house, okay? I wouldn't do it to you, Mike. I wouldn't do it to you, Tyrone. I wouldn't do it to you. And I wouldn't do it to you, Ashley. So if you want to solve that cul-de-sac on Wesleyan Drive, take it on down to the right of your house and down to Adams Road and hook it to that road. There's your problem solved. You can get in and out, but don't take it through our land. So anyway, I want to compromise on everything. So I'd rather not do anything, but we're willing to do that and give you guys the rights. We've already given you Shady Lane. We've already given you the easement when the church was across our field, and you wanted the easements for the sewage, for them to oversize that pipe years ago. We gave you free the easements between Shady Lane and Wesleyan Drive. We gave extra easements down Shady Lane to BF&S and for putting in the utility lines. They asked for an extra 20 or 30 foot so they didn't have to tear out all the trees. We gave that. We've given everything we possibly can at no cost to this town. But we don't want our... We go with our land take. And I want it solved, or I'm going to court. And if we go to court, we're going to bring a lawsuit against the town and all you guys individually for harassment and intimidation this last year, because that's what's happened. I've been asked 10 times over about giving up something, or you're going to put in these damn roads. And I'm not going to go through that anymore. And I can prove it, Ashley. I can absolutely prove it. But we need to get past that. We need to, I'd like to, somebody make a motion that we'll do the loop water thing, and if you want to do a cul-de-sac, but we're not going to put roads through our property. I don't know why we can't just decide. Let's open it up for the people to talk here and see what their thoughts are. Can we do that on this subject?
Do you have something you want to add?
I'm not, I mean, you say you want to work with us, and you threaten to sue us, but I'm not in favor of trading one thing for another. Let's just deal with the situation at hand and not bring something else into it. Me personally, I would just like to get the water line in. Well, we got a bigger project coming up out here on Yost Road. I'd rather encumber that money to get that road going than I would doing anything back here other than wood. I think the one was 220,000. That's 220,000 we could put to the 800,000 out here on Yost. But I don't want to say, yes, we're going to do this and kill it or whatever. If you want to table it to another time, because we have something bigger going out here that I'd rather spend the money on.
Can we just decide on doing the loop and that's it? And leave everything else go and say
Well, I think haven't you already worked on the roads back there, the curves?
yeah,
Haven't you already softened those and widened just a little bit? No?
yes.
It's the same asphalt footprint as the soy's been.
Okay.
I've added gravel on the
Gravel
ends.
corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that okay, you think? Does that take care of the widening appropriately?
No, it's the same asphalt as the soy's been.
Okay, but he's added gravel to the sides?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Do we have the engineering report that shows that second thing, that says how much the
Well,
curbs will be added?
that was kind of where I'm going. You know, for all of us to have an intelligent discussion about this, you know, we hired a engineering company to do a preliminary engineering report. And there are several scenarios in that report that could be implemented. You know, widening the existing road, doing this, doing that. And, you know, that engineering company should be here to give us why you should do this or why you shouldn't do that.
Well, I think
Scenarios or what
they have-
can be done to satisfy, you know, doing the cul-de-sacs at the end of the two dead-end streets was one of the scenarios that the engineers had mentioned.
Okay, first of all, Ashley, you met with the engineers the first time they ever engineered in this town, and they were your private engineers, and you used them. You went, now listen, you're talking about other people's land, and you had them engineer what you wanted to see in there. Cul-de-sacs, or two of those options, guys, are taken out on Shady Lane, is running it through right through the middle of our field, both of them. One isn't just clipping the corners, one is taken from the toll house, everything down there. And they've already presented it, they've explained it, and we've had it for months and months.
They have not done it to the public, for the public to hear, with copies in their hand.
The public was here, Ashley, but I'm asking, those things aren't Those engineers drew up something because we asked them to come up with some scenarios.
That's right.
And they said
That's what
it,
they did.
and they said at the meeting that that's just for our information. One of the options on both of them is don't do anything, right? Is that one of the options, don't do anything?
It is, yes. You know, before they drill down on any one scenario, they give you 3 scenarios. You know, which one do you have a tendency to like the most? And that's the one that you would focus on, so.
Well, the one we like, I think the people out here, let's ask them, the one we want, we're asking for, that we had a petition for, is to not do anything,
Okay,
Ashley.
so that's one of the 3. You're right, Ron. So, you know, the engineering company could be at a public meeting, and they could take public input into that scenario of not doing nothing.
There's the engineering company back there.
Maybe, you know, you talk about softening up the corner, maybe giving 4 feet or something like that. Let's let the engineering company know that and let them work with it.
Okay, guys, it's getting a little bit weird right now. Let's just move into the public comment. I'm just gonna read this really quick. It's the statement that we just let everybody know when we're moving to public comment of stuff. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our procedures, the town council would like you to know the following. When addressing the council, please state your name and the address for the record. If you're not recognized by the chair, you are not permitted to speak. Speaking from a seat in the audience is not permitted. You must present from the podium. Speaking is limited to 5 minutes, and you may speak only once on any given subject. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. If you make a call, please step out of the room before using the phone. All exhibits presented to the council become property of the council. So,
Hey, my name's Mike Rose. I live 740 Shady Lane. I've lived there going on 30 years. We have not had a problem with the traffic. And my suggestion, or what I'd really like to see, is get your utility easement, leave the rest of it alone. I mean, yeah, soften those corners if you want to, but we don't need the second road. We don't need the road down Shady Lane straight up to the road. We're happy where we're at. We all bought back there because we like our area, and Ron and Cindy have done, they don't get the credit that they deserve by taking care of the landscaping for both churches, the town hall, all the other stuff that they do. And my other suggestion is these little bitty signs that are around here, we really don't need it. With all the infighting, you don't need all that agitation. All I'd like to say is leave our little town, you know, the way it is, and especially our little area back there. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Cindy Marsh, 749 Shady Lane. Okay, let's just drop the pretense, okay? What this is about is Ashley is using some of our land and does not want us to move our fence to the property land. I don't know if everyone is familiar with where we're at, but they live at the end of Wesleyan Drive, and we had a horse pasture that we had set the fence in from the property line so that we could have a driving lane around it in order to not have to open the gate. And when they built their house, they built it right up on their property line. So they're using our driving lane. And all we wanted was for them to sign a paper saying that they're not going to try to take over our land. Our lawyer says that that can be done. That if we just continue to let them use it. First Ashley wrote up something, then he didn't want to sign it, and then we had our attorney write up something, and we gave it to Ashley and Lisa, and they were supposed to sign it by the 8th, and of course they didn't sign it. Just it's a license to let them use it, and they won't sign it. But that's what this is about. And so if they can't get our land by just using it that way, he's going to put a road through it. And that's why they ordered the preliminary engineering report and spent $12,000 on that report to show different options on the way to retaliate against us and to get Ashley a little bit more land. If anybody wants to see the license that they won't sign, I have copies, you're welcome to. reading them if you want one.
Anyone else?
Suzanne Swick, 746 Shady Lane. I disagree about Shady Lane. I think that it's fine to widen the turn. The section of Shady Lane that's only 60 feet wide needs to be widened to the standard length because everybody stops and lets the other person drive through there. It's not really wide enough for people to pass safely on that section of the road. And I am for the loop system.
And that's what the 4 foot is for, to make that, like Sue said, make it from 16 foot to 20 foot.
Linda Bell, Prairie Lane. Explain to me what the purpose would be in Dayton's favor to do the road. How's it gonna help the other Dayton residents? I know how it's gonna hurt the people who live back there. They don't want it through their property, they don't want all that looping, but how's it gonna help me? Because right now, my tax dollars are going for something that you want, that nobody else seems to want. So explain to me how it's gonna help the town of
Well,
Dayton.
it's kind of like they paved the road over here, how that helped Shady Lane. It's just trying to.
Well, because people back there know people in the rest of the area. Most people don't go back there too much.
Upgrade
It's
the
a,
town is all, it
it's-
doesn't matter what section it's in, or it's just to upgrade the town.
You have several things, you know, we as a town council are responsible for a lot of things. You know, keeping roads up to standards is one of those. You know, when you look at Dayton as a whole, we got 3 long dead-end streets in the town of Dayton. We have South Street, which will be on the agenda for the regular board meeting after we get out of this utility meeting, you know, getting rid of that dead end. Westland Drive is a dead end, Shady Lane is a dead end. These long dead ends, you know, when you don't have uniformity in town, so you know, part of having uniformity is to provide an outlet or a way for people to get turned around on those dead end streets.
so a cul-de-sac, a
Okay.
turnaround.
A cul-de-sac is one way of doing that, that's absolutely correct. You know, currently on Westland Drive, you have a garbage truck that goes down Westland Drive, picks up garbage on one side of the street, backs up the street about a quarter of a mile to the driveway of the Methodist church, turns around in the driveway of the Methodist church, then backs back down the street to get the resident on the other side of the road.
Have they complained about having to do that?
There used to be a daycare center at that Methodist church, and garbage trucks backing down the road. You have, you know, your
It's 160 foot, not a quarter of a mile.
Did
It's
the garbage
160
truck
foot.
people complain about having to do that? Was that ever a complaint that was brought to the town board by them?
The town is responsible for keeping some type of uniformity in streets.
It's never been, before,
Let them talk.
And I understand the
If you,
uniformity, but
the preliminary engineering reports for Westland Drive, Shady Lane, and South Street will be available on the town's new website momentarily. So you can go on there and read all about it. School buses, you know, you have regular school bus stops for children that are able to get to those stops. Federal law requires school corporations to pick up special needs kids at their homestead, okay?
but isn't it funny that that place, people have lived back there since 1968, and there's never been a complaint until you moved down there.
Federal
And the people
law,
who live down there
this
don't know
federal
that.
law has just come about within the past 3 years, okay? So in the past, it wasn't that, you can't make too much of a
So are you saying that the loop system wouldn't work? Or it would, or do you just want it so that you get what you want? Because it sounds like the residents that live down
A
there,
cul-de-sac would allow a school bus to get turned around, or making the street go through would allow a truck to get turned around.
so wouldn't it make sense to do what's in the financial best interest of the town and what those residents want? Which means do the loop system and let him do the softening of those curves and save everybody time and money and just say, yeah, that's a good idea, let's go with it, let's be done with it. They're off their back, and you can't wrong Cindy and Ron for going, hey, you're shoving me into a corner and I don't have any choice but to go and say, hey, somebody fight this battle for me. I don't think of it as a threat, but as a way to defend himself against the town board.
I'm not looking for a battle. Mr. Kohler said that softening up the terms would work for him.
Right.
Talks like cul-de-sacs that the individual streets will work for him. So we have some common ground that we can move forward.
Well, and I guess for me, I just don't understand what the big fight is. Do the loop system, let him soften the corners, and everybody's done and everybody's happy. You got one person that's not happy and the rest of the town that is.
We do
I
have,
would be happy with that, okay? You know, that was, what he's proposing here are options that are in the preliminary engineering report. So my point is, great, you know, we've got some common ground. Let's bring the engineer in and point out to him, you know, in which of these three scenarios for all these different projects, we have the common ground, have a public meeting, have the engineering people hear our concerns, and then they can develop softening the corners, they can develop.
Wasn't that part of his original
It was one of three.
ideas?
Okay, so you.
So if he says that that's a good idea, you got three options, what makes the difference which one of those three you pick? So I guess that's my mind, you know, trying to wrap around what is the easiest and the cheapest.
That's
and-
charged.
You and I are agreeing here, yes, that's exactly right.
one thing, that there's one end of the road that doesn't have a cul-de-sac. The other one has had a cul-de-sac for 40 years. So it's just a triangle shape. I just made it round, so school buses, anything, go around, spin around, and get out of there. But you guys presented this thing, when, last fall time? It's now March, and I go down my lane every day wondering if I can even build a house or not build a house or do this or do that. How would you like me to put a barrier across your driveway, and every night you come home, can I even go across my property? Is it going to be gone? Is it going to disappear? Or whatever. But then Ashley, you called me up here in November, and we had a 4¼ hour meeting where you asked me to leave my cell phone in the car so I couldn't record it. And then we went over, and he asked me to agree on what I wanted. And I told him these things I brought up tonight. You said to me, over by your house at the end of that meeting, I think the board, we can get it to change the board's mind, but I need you to do, don't shake your head, because I need you to do, wait, excuse me, I'm talking. Mike, you can tell him to be quiet. And you asked me to do one thing. You said, go. I said, what's that? And you said, call up Greg Malakis and tell him you'll give him the water rights down there, and you'll get the board to. Well, I'll swear on a stack of Bibles, and I'll take a lie detector test, because that's what it was.
We talked about the development at our 4-hour meeting, but one was not tied to the other. They were totally
Sure it was. No, it was absolutely.
Okay, back to the president.
Thank you. I got a question on this, connecting this water. You got a line going down there, like it's 12 inch or something, it's got X number of pressure in it, and they both go down this way and you tie them together. You say you gotta have a loop so the water flows. What's gonna make the water flow in that loop?
Use. People
What do you
using the
mean,
water.
use? Pressure's the same here. It's gonna stop.
The purpose of looping in the system is to keep the chlorine residual where
Okay,
it should be.
but it's not gonna flow because you got equal pressure going against each other.
Well, the water will flow. The water will flow through a pipe like that. That's why they're designed in a loop system and not that. It's to keep fresher water in the system versus water being going so dead in it's holding there.
I can't see that, but anyway, if you guys, you just said you could agree with Ron said, put the cul-de-sac where it should be, at the end of the road, and take part of your land.
Stan,
Do it.
I had no control over.
No, you told me what to do, and you know
He
it.
drew
Stanley,
the
I did
map.
not. You know, he proposed a cul-de-sac. I didn't know that was even gonna be an option.
Well, you didn't ask anybody else to go to the meeting with your buddies to do the engineering, Ashley. I think that's a little unfair. You got with them and nobody else.
So I need to interrupt about the Shady Lane. I have correspondence from Cindy Marsh that she brought to me and asked me to present it. So I'm just gonna read it. It says, "Good evening. Please find attached a petition against anything more than minor improvements to Shady Lane and Wesleyan Drive. The petition contains 24 signatures from Shady Lane residents, 4 from Wesleyan Drive residents, and 48 other Dayton residents, and signatures from the community and interested parties. Sincerely, Cindy Marsh." And it's got all the signatures, so she wanted me to present that to the board during this discussion. And I will have that on file.
Nancy Oswald, 762 Shady Lane. My parents bought my house back in '68. I've been living in Shady Lane since the 7th grade. I had some time away when I was married, but my ex and I, we bought the house. We bought the house for the same reason my parents bought it. The lane is peaceful. You don't have traffic going in and out and around and everything. Safe. My parents saw that it was safe for me and my sister to be able to go out and play and not have to worry. We could ride our bikes safely. My ex and I thought the same with our 2 children, so that they could play, and it was a safe neighborhood, didn't have to worry about the traffic. When my grandchildren come over, I don't have to worry if they step out into the street, because there's not going to be cars racing up and down and around. As for the cul-de-sac, I think that Cindy and Ron have done a great job in being able to widen that to make Mr. Stevenson to meet the specifications that he was asking for. There's never been a problem with a bus or truck, garbage trucks turning around before, but now they have even more space. The lane back there is unique. It's picturesque. It's nice. It's quiet. Please, just because one person has recently been there, now wants to make changes to something that we have all been happy with, please don't change my street, please. I want to be able to keep it quiet. I want to keep it safe for when my grandkids come over and for my neighbors' kids when they go out and play. Thank you.
Well,
Marilyn Parnell, 7212 Wesleyan Drive. I'm the one on Wesleyan that garbage truck has to back up for, and I asked him a couple years ago if it's a problem. He says, no problem, don't worry about it. There's many other dead ends in town. I can name a couple of streets fire truck cannot get to at all. I've seen the fire trucks go down Shady Lane. To me, that would be, I don't know how water flows, I don't understand that. I did lose a house to a total fire 2 years ago. So if you need to connect those because of fire protection, go for it. If not, I don't get it. Because the entire town would have to start moving. And you're not talking that. If what they've done is one of the 3 proposals, vote which way and go for it. Thank you.
Under that, there's only 3 dead ends that the water pipes actually stop. And one of them is where you're at, it's South Street. And where's the 3rd one?
Well, we thought it was South Street, but we did find a crossover there, a loop that was unknown to us. It was not on one map, but it did show up on it. As far as long dead end streets, there's only 3. As far as long dead end water lines, Wesleyan and Shady are the only 2 in town. Everything else in town seems to have pretty close loops in it.
The end of Prairie Lane, there's a hydrant at the end of there.
Well, distance-wise, you just come back to that meadow, I think it runs east and west there. So it loops right back to meadow, so it's not a,
It's only about 3 houses long.
yeah, it's only maybe a
It
little
doesn't
yard.
loop, I mean, it goes to the end and stops, and
Yeah.
it has to,
Right, but what I guess I'm saying is that if you just come upstream from that hydrant, 100 yards, it's in a loop system, so that's just a short spur that comes on versus a spur that's 1,000 feet long.
well, we agreed to loop, I mean, that's,
And, speaking to that loop and that system, and, whenever you design a water system, you always want to have a loop system. just to keep fresh water and keep pouring outside. Now, let's say that we get a bid on connecting the two water lines, and it's some exorbitant amount. That's where you have to say, well, is it worth that cost? You know, it's not like at any cost we should do this. But if you get a reasonable bid on it, it can be done at a reasonable cost, it is a good idea. But it's not a good idea at any cost, by any means. You know, just common sense has to drive that decision about moving that system.
Ron, I appreciate you offering up looping the water systems and stuff, you go to Westland and Shady. Is it okay if I make a motion that we do that?
Yeah. Looping it up and where it goes through there, I get okay, where it goes through our land that we're giving up.
Well, yeah, you'd be talking to the engineers.
Engineer, yeah.
Yeah, water
Because
lines,
they said they could be moved.
water
tweak
line,
it this
water
way.
line's not rubber, it has to be run at, when you turn it, it's 22-degree angles and things like that.
Before you make that motion, can we get that out, see what kind of price it's gonna be, because it comes out way too high price just for the water line, I mean,
Well, we have an estimate on the water line part of it. I'll try to. Water
Well, what if we decide the basics, what we want to do, and then if we say we want to do it, then we get the further costs and decide, have the shell up, and if we can in fact do it. What I want to accomplish, and what these people want to know, is basically what we're going to go after tonight. We're going to go after a loop, or one cul-de-sac, or two cul-de-sacs, and you guys don't need any more.
Ron, why don't you give us just a minute to look at our books here, so
Yeah.
we're gonna.
Well, there's right-of-way cost, and Ron said he'd give the right-of-way, okay? So that cost would be,
What's the right-of-way cost?
the right-of-way cost is $4,000 on that. Engineering, $8,000, right-of-way for construction, $48,000, so basically, $56,000 would be this estimated cost, so.
Okay, and that's just to put in the water lines,
To
the
do the water
easements, just for that loop to tie the two together.
What is the length of that?
It probably says in here, but I did not read it.
I've got two more for you. There's 50 pages, so of those reports.
380 feet. 380 feet.
So $50,000 for 100 yards of water line. 380 feet.
Do we have any tests and?
That's the engineering estimate.
Yeah, I
So,
know, but I just.
We'd certainly take bids and
I would have to think about it at that cost.
we have, local contractors that may be,
Come in at a better price.
right. But if we are in agreement, then, I think it's something that, and I'm willing to make a motion, I think it's something that we should research further and.
Wait a second,
and fill
though.
that out.
We're willing to give you the right of way, save you $4,000 and all that. But I don't want to give you anything till you say you're not going to put a road through our field. I'm not going to keep giving in. Are we giving easements down Shady Lane? We've given up Shady Lane. We've given easements down Dayton Road. We've given extra easements to you, Ashley, to get your stuff in down there. We've given easements all over.
Well, Ron, I suppose if I ask you for easement, you're gonna say no, or if the board asks you for easement, you're gonna say no, but,
No,
this
I'm
is one
just-
area we agree on, and that's.
Yeah, but I don't, we need to agree that there's not going to be roads through our fields. Can't you just say that? Can't you just say we'll just work together and there's no roads? Hell, this town can't even afford what we're doing now. We don't even know how much monies we got in the bank, you know?
I think we should have.
We're going downhill fast, guys.
I think we should
You
have.
guys ought to check that, too.
think we should table this and have a whole nother meeting just for this discussion and get on with it.
Oh, come on.
Why, how much time do we need here, Mike?
We keep putting it off and putting it off. I think they deserve an answer. I think we can decide.
Well, I don't know that we've been,
You
keep
got
putting it
your-
off, we only brought it up. We only got this information in September, October last year. We've had a lot of things go on.
Well, that's only 7 months, actually. Then let's work on this instead of up there on something else. Let's do this thing first. And right now, you got the information. Everybody out here, let them vote in this room. We either want the roads through there or not. Why don't we let these people vote for once? You know? It's our land you're talking about. It's not running a road through your guys' fields.
Ron, you and I had agreement on cul-de-sacs. And you keep talking about running a road.
Well, then say we'll do cul-de-sacs and no road.
Yeah.
Make a motion for that. We'll do cul-de-sacs, but the one's not going to be 100% on our land, you know?
I think there needs to be a public meeting with the engineering people here that,
Oh, there doesn't.
No, there doesn't. We have a public meeting here, Ashley. We've got the things there. You either want to do cul-de-sacs or not. We can make a motion that we can engineer the cul-de-sac later. We need to make a motion that all we're going to do is one, maybe two cul-de-sacs, do the irrigation underground, and let it be at that, and soften those two corners. You know, and leave it at that, so that there's no roads going through the property.
and soften up the turns on Shady Lane.
And soften up them.
And that's, again, that's exactly what you and I had talked about.
So make a motion for it. Make a motion, we don't need to go another month.
To have the engineers look at those items.
We don't need to have them look at it, we need to tell them we're going to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, we've seen the reports.
We can have the engineer give us 4 more foot, tell us there's 4 more foot, we'll tell them, we'll give you 4 more foot. That's all we need, they're gonna have to redraw that, but you're making the motion to tell them to do that. Not to put 4 foot out in the middle of the field or across the
You're having
backfield or.
them drill down into their options here. I mean, you're not
There's no 4 foot option in that option, is there?
You're not gonna do anything, I hope not, without having engineers look at it.
No,
I mean, if it's ever gonna.
Well, actually,
if you
your
ever hire a
first is,
construction company,
actually, you don't do it backwards like you did once. You go out and you decide what you want to do, and then you tell the engineers, here's what we want to do and get accomplished. We want 4 more foot on that road. You spent $12,000 on something you didn't ask him for his land, you didn't ask us, you just ran roads through
Let's back
both of
up.
them.
You know, this was not $12,000.
Yes, it was
There were
$12,000
3 PERs that were $12,000. Shady Lane was one of them, West Lane Shady
in
was another.
South Street, was
and South Street.
$12,000.
Yeah, so let's
And
do
he
it.
doesn't want a road through his whole field, we don't want him through our field, Ashley. Now, why can't we just say, no roads? And come up with what we're gonna do. We want, how about 4 foot, soften the top dress the one cul-de-sac, you want the other one down in front of your house? Okay, put it down there, but evenly split, and then we do the 2 inside corners and widen that 4 foot, and that's it. That's what we make a motion for.
and you're leaking.
That's what we have the engineers look at.
I make a motion right now, please,
Have the engineers look at it.
I make a motion to give you, Ashley, please, I make a motion to give you guys a right of way to put, somewhere in my field, to put the loop that water system. I give you an motion to, you can take the Shady Lane cul-de-sac and top dress it, and then Shady Lane, the 2 corners, we soften them by 5 foot on the inside corners and widen Shady Lane, like Sue said, 4 foot. And then, that's what I'm making a motion for. And if you guys want to make a motion to add a cul-de-sac on West Lane Drive, fine. But how about that? That's simple. I made a motion.
I second.
I'm making one motion
For all of that.
for all that.
Okay, so state it again.
Okay. Coming down the curves, I make a motion to the 2 90-degree curves. We put 4 or 5 foot of asphalt or crushed stone, something on the inside of those curves, and we widen between those 2 curves the street 4 foot. And I give you the 4 foot right of way, and you can go on the west side like you wanted, Ashley, on that side. I wanted it on the east side, but on the west side. So you get 4 foot plus the inside curves, we soften it. Then down at the end of Shady Lane, the existing cul-de-sac that's there now, if you want to asphalt it, you can asphalt it, okay? And then I give you the right-of-way under the ground between Wesleyan Drive and Shady Lane for putting a water pipe in underneath there and put it where it's a nice curve that the engineers agree to, that we can all live with, and that it doesn't ruin our future building plans. But I give you the free, the land for underneath it. And that's my motion.
Now, the cul-de-sac that you're talking about on Shady Lane, is that the one down in front of Leidenger's
Yeah,
house?
and it's existing there, it's part on their property, it's right in front of their property, and it's on our property there.
The cul-de-sac at the end of Wesleyan Drive.
If you, I didn't make a motion for that. If you want to add that guy, I'd make a separate motion for that one. If you want that one, put it on there.
And, you know, you and I had talked about, vulnerable,
Please, Ashley, please don't keep bringing up stuff. Can you just do that? Can you vote on that motion, please?
to properly address
Oh,
the.
God. Come on.
Do that in a separate motion.
We can do that in a separate motion.
Why not do them all together?
Why not do it separately,
It's
Ashley?
on one preliminary report.
It's on 2. You just said there's 3 reports. There's Wesleyan Drive, Shady Lane, so make them.
Let's work off of Ron's first. He's made a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I second. Take a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Now,
Thank you.
do you want to add?
It is Wesleyan Drive.
You want to do that now?
I make a motion that the engineers look at addressing the dead end at Wesleyan Drive.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Can I be at that meeting with the assessors?
Okay, so that takes care of any roads going to anybody's property. And it gives
They're real
them- Gives us the easements.
And I can get my building permits and I can move on with my life.
All right.
So Shady Lane will stay as is, only widened.
The 2 curves, between the 2 curves, 4 foot.
All the trees gonna stay?
They'll have to take out some on the west side, and that's okay. You gotta, whether you go on the south or the east or the west, you gotta take out some, but that's,
It'll have to be paved, gravel's not gonna cut it.
yeah, paved is fine.
The trees' close proximity in between those 2 curves is one of the problems with that road deteriorating so rapidly. You know, where all the potholes and the patch mix is on Shady Lane in between those 2 curves, you know, that was all repaved 6 years ago.
I think a lot of it has to do with your wheels are curving day in and day out where it's not a straight shot, but the trees taking some of them will help taking them out. And if you want to take a couple more on the east side of that street, you can too, you know, and between the
Side street.
All right. Anybody else?
I know I've already talked about it. Michael was 740 Shady Lane. When you go from in front of Leininger's house, I think the water line stops between Nancy and my old property. Back, not at the end of the cul-de-sac or the pavement, but at the property line, because they brought that right to there and then ran it back to my house back then. So you're gonna have to go through that cul-de-sac to run the water line.
The water line is not on the other side of the street.
No, it's on the east side. If I remember right, that's
that
35
part,
years ago.
the Whitlocks, is it the hydrant right outside her?
It could be, I may be wrong.
You know, I think the water line was-
Like I said,
And then I think,
I've
I think the cul-de-sac think is on our property, I think, but it might, or maybe only half of it is, but it probably comes up to the edge of that where the private property is, and then we'll just take it and sort of like stuff.
Utility report.
I've got several items to go over here. The first one is I contacted Dayton Energy about installing some streetlights. 3 locations for the cul-de-sac at the end of Dayton Meeting. A couple on Dayton Road, north one out of town, and then out here behind Drive and Yost Drive. I received a response from Duke Energy concerning the street light at the end of Cable's Mill. They gave us a price, and this is for just one pole and one light back there at the cul-de-sac. A price of $9,828 with a monthly bill of $8.72 a month.
How much was that, Mark? What did you say?
The monthly bill was $8.72 a month, but the installation for the pole and light is $9,828. The second one we'll talk about is 2 lights going just beyond the town limit north on Dayton Road. They came back and said that those power poles are not tall enough to put street lights on because there has to be so much clearance. Ashley and myself looked at them, they appeared to be the same size as any other light poles, so I asked them to go back out and make sure that that is actually fact. He was sending a crew out there last Thursday, Duke was, to take measurements to see if we could keep them on that side of the road, and he has not gotten back to me yet. His option for that was setting poles on the east side of Dayton Road, running power underneath the road and doing that, and that just increases the cost to the town significantly, so we're waiting on a response. So we have a price on Cable's Mill, we're still working on North Dayton Road. The other one was Hines Drive and Yost Drive. On the south side of 38, he wrote back and said that according to his records, that is state of Indiana property where Yost Drive is, so that we would have to get permits through NDOT to put that light in. On the north side, on Hines Drive, well, we have this project coming up where Yost is going to be extended to the north. We could probably do that much cheaper by making it a part of that project versus incurring all the cost ourselves. So, the 3 areas that we talked about, the only one where we really have something as far as a concrete price and a contracting hand to sign, if we want to do that, would be at the cul-de-sac on Cable's Mill. So if you'd like to move forward with having that street light put in, we need a motion and approval and a signature on the contract to move forward on that. If you want to do it as a package deal with all of it, we need to delay it for a while. So that's the process that we have so far.
9,000.
820.
That's for a pole and a light?
Yes.
They have to, transformer they're coming off of is on Cable's Mill. It is almost right across the street from Clifty Falls, where Clifty Falls and Cable's Mill meets. The underground boring for.
Yeah, they don't run any lines overhead anymore if they can get away with it, and I'm sure a significant part of that cost is boring the grounds undermined and all that cost that's incurred, and they contract all that out. They don't do that themselves, so I'm sure that's utility cost. It just says 70-watt LED light, type 3, 30-foot wooden light pole. That's what it has.
like it'd be more cost effective to ask a resident if we could run off of their electricity and then just pay their bill for it. And put it up to donut for $100. You know,
Hurrah, that's a good idea.
I know, it's a significant cost.
Yeah, I was surprised at how much,
If you wanna just table it for now, instead of moving
I
forward.
think so.
What about solar lights? Can we look into any of those?
I don't know.
I mean, in some of the areas it might be cheaper to go on electric bill and, they work throughout the night.
You know, I'll get back up, hold of Mr. Reeves and just ask him, what other options do we have that we are possibly considering for this? Okay?
I have a question too also on electric. Have you, if you ever get a chance, could you ask Duke or about putting maybe outlets on some of these poles that are going up and down 38, so like Christmas time when they hang up the wreaths and stuff, like how Mulberry has the lights, because they have actual outlets on their poles to kind of make it more festive looking. If it's not too much of a cost, I think.
I have done that. I did it in the town I previously worked for, and it was probably only half of this distance. But they will come in and do that. There is a cost. I would say that it's probably, I can't remember exactly how much it was. I think it was around $3,000. So I'd say if you want to go the length of town, it'd probably be close to $7,000 to $10,000. And then there is during what they call the holiday season, which I think is from Thanksgiving until after New Year's, there's an additional fee because they're using electricity. So they will do that. It takes some time, because you have to get written agreements and all that. But it is possible, and I'm sure that's how many towns have done it. But there is, would you like for me to look into that also?
It could be a discussion later if, that's a little bit more expensive than I thought, but.
Yeah.
Maybe-
Everything.
Maybe they're running a deal, so.
Yeah, everything is. Next item is, we discussed sidewalks at the last meeting, and we thought, well, what is the town policy on sidewalk repair? So I looked through the ordinance book, and the way that it reads, and I'll have it right here, just so I don't make a mistake, I'll just read it to you. It says, whenever any sidewalk within the limits of the town needs repair, or anything obstructing free passage thereof, it shall be lawful of the owner or occupant of the lot or land to, at his or her own expense, after obtaining a permit to make the repair. So as the ordinance stands now, it's up to the homeowner to make that repair. They have to get a permit and do it to the town spec. The discussion we were having was, how can we promote this by cost sharing? If someone has a sidewalk that needs repair, how can we help them out and move that forward? In the towns that I've spoke to, the best scenario that I found was a 50-50 cost share on those. And I think that most of the time when sidewalks need repairs, because the tree in the yard has busted up the sidewalk, has heaved it. The tree might be gone now, but the damn sidewalk is still there.
Mark, back in the old board, I think it was Hainsey, the deputy, had this done at his sidewalk. At that time, the old board went 50-50. And we said at that time, it sort of set a precedent for in the future, that it seemed like a good compromise, the 50-50, so.
And there's ways to oversee that. One, the ordinance already identifies it has to be these specifications, but it also could be that 50-50, but we have some kind of guideline that says, 10 feet of sidewalk should cost approximately this. Just some common sense oversight. But I think it would be helpful to them. Excuse me. Another item is, I've mentioned that the annual report to Lafayette Review was due. That's a report that's sent to the wastewater department of Lafayette every year. They just want to know how we're maintaining our system. That was submitted and approved, so that's behind us for another year. Next item is, you received an email concerning the 2018 Community Crossing Grant. Michelle got that straightened out today. She was giving me credit in the emails, but that was probably not necessary because she did do all the work on that.
Good job, Michelle.
You know, it was a close, we were not, eligible for 2019 funds until we got 2018 funds. The project's closed out. It was a paperwork trail, check trail that we had to get submitted. What we found out though, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we received about $163,000. That was the 75% portion that the state paid out of the street stuff. We paid the 25% portion. When the final billing came in, the 75% portion was only $160,000 and some $100. So what we believe we're going to get is an invoice here within the next couple of weeks indicating that the town needs to pay back to the state $2,325. Just the way that the final billing shook out. If you have anything to add, did we not, I got to think more, did we not do all the work, is that what it was?
We did do all the work. We had one project that came in a little bit under what was bid. Actually, we had two projects that come in a little bit under.
They didn't put down as much asphalt?
Right, they didn't use as much asphalt as what they bid, so even though we have to pay back $2,000 some odd dollars, you know, the town actually saved,
160.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, we saved a lot of money, but we just have to credit back, you know, based on the overpayment by the end of it.
Yeah, we came out by far on the good side,
Yeah.
but I just want to make sure everybody, so whenever you see that invoice, you'll know what. And plus, by Michelle getting it closed out, we are now, the three grant applications that we submitted are now at least under consideration anyway, so. Next item is, today, Patton Construction started installing the new residential gas lines in town. They're working over on Harrison Street, so they have over 50 of them that they're replacing for Veteran. They'll be going down Main Street, Republican, Washington, they'll be over Michelle's neck of the woods, here's 210. All residents who are affected by this should have or will be getting letters from Veteran letting them know that the service line to their home will be replaced. It really is not, the town does not incur, you know, we're not pushing this or promoting it or stopping it or whatever, but of course we have to identify where residential sewer, water lines, storm lines are, so that's where it needs to be time consuming on the town's part. So we make sure it's affected while there's war on these lines.
So all the streets that they're doing, or streets that they're redoing lines on, are streets that we just paved last year. Every single
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I spoke to them about that. We just paved this street last year. Not 12 months ago, we paved this street.
So our brand new asphalt's gonna get it all.
Oh, it's already getting cut up.
Yeah.
Why would they be starting in Harrison, because they're already,
I don't know. I
new
think they,
subdivision's already got plastic gas lines.
well, they're just
No
going,
part down
from,
Gas-
they're just going from 38 to Main and then they're heading east. They're doing that one block right there, where the older homes are. They're going into Deerfield. It's primarily going to be in the older part of town.
And they got their equipment, sand, cold pack asphalt and everything on our property over there. They use it each time when they do work out here. And Mark suggested, we were talking about these potholes, that we're gonna ask them for a little bit, that we could go, like the big potholes up on Dayton Road, those great big ones, you rip your tire apart off, and I'll go around and fix them tomorrow, and then there's a couple on Shady Lane, but I think they'll donate us
Some cold
asphalt.
pack.
What's it called?
Cold pack. Yeah. But anyway, if any residents get a hold of you, that's what's going on there. It's gonna take a little bit. They'll be in town, depending on the weather, 30, 60 days. They get about 2 done a day. That'll be a while.
Mark, I have a question.
Yeah.
So they're just doing it from their main line to the homeowners?
So the
correct?
meter on the house.
So they're not
yeah.
changing their main lines?
No, they're not. back, I had spoke to you about the water main and sewer main that runs on the south side of the railroad back here from Yost Drive all the way down to Dayton Road. And I spoke to Ron about it also. There's water valves and sewer manholes in those fields there that with time have been damaged, plowed over, covered up. And just like we did on Yost Drive going north, we went in, repaired those, and then put markers on them so they wouldn't be damaged in the future. So I got some maps out, marked the approximate location where these valves and manholes should be at. I have a price from Coker-Pelly Construction, who did the same thing, going north on Yost on that property. He gave me a price of $1,980 to go out, locate these, make the repairs, and put the markers in for them. And I'd like to move ahead with that before the farming season takes off.
I'd make a motion that we have Coca-Cola flag those items and make the repairs to the damaged items for $1,980.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you. The drainage ditch project going on north of town here, so they've got the new 6-foot culverts in and the crossing in. It's made a big improvement. There are some final punch list items that we'll want to oversee because we do want that area, especially where it comes up into residential. The whole part of the idea is that this can be better maintained and mowed just like your lawn would. So this final phase of the project, such as grading, seeding, remove debris and all that, that has yet to be done. And of course, that'll be weather dependent as we go along. Things have to dry out and you have to get some warm weather for the seeding and stuff, but that will be the next step. So far, so good. The water seems to be draining well, the crossings in. There's some debris out there they still need to clean up, but that's part of that final grading and seeding. So that project's moving forward well.
It looks good.
It does. The last item I have is the Yost Drive road extension. There's been some questions about what costs the town incurs, how is that done? So we need to look at it as in 2 phases. The first phase is the preliminary engineering and the right-of-way acquisition. The town already owns 95% of the right-of-way, but where there's a little jog in it, there might have to be an acre or so purchased right there to make the 2 dots connect. That's a small thing. The preliminary engineering, of course, that's the large part of this first part of the project. The cost estimate for the engineering and the right-of-way acquisition is $550,000. The town pays 20%, or $110,000. The rest is paid by the state. So how does that work? The way that works is, once an engineering firm is hired, consulting firm is how they reference that. So bills are submitted every month. So we get a bill for $80,000. The town has to pay the bill in full, send the paid invoice to the state, we then get reimbursed back 80%. So it's not like we just pay 20% each time. So this is a rolling payment. So let's just say, for example, in January, we have $80,000 bill, we send it off to the state, they should reimburse us back, whatever that would be, $65,000 or something. But before we get our reimbursement back, we've got another one coming in February, and let's say it's for $50,000. So you have to have some money in a dedicated account to keep this rolling forward as it goes. We will get reimbursement back for that 8%, but I just want you to understand that we have to have a fund available for this time period. It's going to be like a couple-year period, for this preliminary engineering. But we need to keep that rolling forward, even though we'll be money coming back. We still have to have funds to keep it going forward. And it should be a dedicated line item, I would think, for that. When it's all said and done, it would be approximately $100,000 out of the town's pocket. We have to remember that $550,000 is just an estimate. When we go through the selection process for the consulting or engineering firm, it could come in less than that, you know. But that is the estimate of what it is at this time. So now, the preliminary engineering's done, we've purchased any acreage we need to, and we go into the construction phase. This is the large dollar amount. So, let's say that the contract's awarded to the John Smith Construction Company, and the estimate right now is $4.1 million. It's not supposed to happen for 4 or 5 years, so I don't suspect that price will go down any. It could actually be significantly more. Well, let's just stick with that. We'll just call it $4 million. So our 20% is $800,000. It is not paid on a rolling schedule. When that contract is awarded, we have to have that 20%, $800,000. Or if it's a $5 million contract, the town has to have at that time that $1 million that we send before work begins to the state to cover our costs for the project. So that's a significant number for the town. So how do we go about ensuring that money is in place? You know, in this next 5 years, we'll go through 2 elections. Is that correct? Are you guys elected on 3-year cycles? 4 years. So, yeah, we have one coming up. So it's going to be 3 boards down the line. Whenever this actually comes to fruition. So, I think it's important that this board sets the framework for how that funding is going to be acquired. And not only have the framework or game planning, but actually have it implemented, starting to. So is that to say, well, we have to stop everything, we've got to set that money aside this year? No, but we need to have some kind of plan that over the next 5 years in increments, that funding will be in place, and when it comes to that time, that money will be on hand. Well, there's different ways you can look at that. You've discussed a TIF district, you know, so that's one way to fund it. Another item that I've been working with Michelle on is what line items in the budget can we pull money from to use for that? Because we know money from the water line item can only be used for water projects, can't be used for street projects. So we have to determine what budget items we can pull money from for this project. What ones do we have any money in that would be available for that annual payment? And also additional things like the TIF district and whatever other funding sources we can find. But I think it's important to start now and have that in place as we go forward. Any questions about that?
Will it be sewer by the new road?
Pardon?
The new road, is there gonna be kind of wastewater sewer?
There is a sewer main. It runs about 70% of the length of the north. Of course, the water runs 100%, but the sewer runs about 70%.
Because the city of Lafayette says they can use their water on roads, and they use it to fund lots of their roads. They usually have to write into a special ordinance to have that money transferred over.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they say any roads that have utilities next to them,
Yes.
especially, they have to switch over.
You know, and that's good information to have. I've always been of the thought that, you know, you can't cross line items, you know. But those are things that we need to know for sure. And I heard we could do that, but we need to make sure we can do those types of things. So, with all that being said, that we're now at a position where I'm going to submit this week to NDOT the RFP, the request for proposals. They will then advertise it on the NDOT website, and that's just letting all the engineering firms know that if you're interested in this project, there are the specifications for it. I think we advertise that for 4 weeks or 30 days, something like that. At that time, we'll sit down, it'll be a committee, and we'll look at all those proposals. We'll select one and move from there. But the next step is on me, where I submit this request for proposals to NDOT, and then they'll advertise it on the webpage. So things are moving along quickly.
Well, first of all, I actually was saying at the beginning of the meeting that there's a meeting coming up with the tip guy that's going to explain all this stuff. And we'll know more on, will it pay stuff, or will it cost us money, or whatever. But I think we ought to be thinking about, because part of the landowner suggested it before, that this money that this town has to come up with, the developers that are, their property is going to increase 1,000%. They maybe ought to fork out some money toward our portion, so that we don't have 800,000, all of it, or $100,000, or have to raise taxes, or whatever. So we might want to think about that a little bit, because McAllister and Kelly Carr in the past have suggested that we all chip into town, at all three entities, you know, and then of course the farmer up there is got it.
You know, in all those property owners, I think it's called the Berry Farm, the Carr Farm, and the McAllisters. I will be in contact with all of them, because I've let them know what engineering firm has been hired, what the time frame looks like, keep them up to speed and aware of what's happening out there. And whenever I do that, I'll send them correspondence that shows all the information on the project. And that'll be a way to keep them informed about cost, total cost incurred by the town, and where we are in the process.
And their percentage.
Well, I don't know about their percentage, but we want to keep them informed about what the town is.
It's something we ought to think about.
Sure.
Instead of us foot the whole bill all the time.
Sure is, you know, and that's part of that whole funding mechanism.
In the same way on that, where the jog goes, I know that part that misses.
Yes.
It seemed to me like the landowner right there, we're doing so much, they could almost donate just a couple acres or so.
Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but we'll see how that works out. But, you know, as things progress, and that's why I think it's important to have the open line of communication with all the people that are affected out there. That can only help. I believe that's all I've got.
Good job. Thank you. Comments from residents, has to do with utilities.
Concerning the sidewalk repairs,
Yes.
when we look at West Lafayette, there are grants that they were able to obtain that they went through, found damaged sidewalks, and the grants paid for that sidewalk repair.
Okay, thank you.
Hart 7212 West Road. Towards the end of December, Mark left me a note that I was using or losing 2 gallons of water an hour. He says, you got a leak somewhere. So naturally you do this toilet, you do the sinks, couldn't find it. He says, suggested the water softener. So they found a small leak, $300 some there. He stops again, he says it hadn't stopped it. So we finally found a leak under the house. Thank goodness for him, it cost me $1.69 to fix it. But my nephew had fixed it. He told me if I hadn't had it fixed, if he hadn't stopped and told us, we would have had a mess. And I had a flood in that house 3 years ago, so I didn't want to do it. So I thanked him. I wanted you guys to know he's doing his job. Thank you.
Ready to read the review investment?
Yes, yes.
Anyone else? Taylor?
That's before utilities.
Just one thing on that motion earlier. Remember I said in that motion that I want to be involved with placing that line on the property where it goes with the engineers. So, I mean, there's plenty of room to work with, but, yeah, that's it.
Motion motion adjourned.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Anybody want a 5-minute break, or you wanna go straight into this?
Dayton Town Board is now in session. I'd like to ask for allowance of docket of January 1st, January 31st, 2019.
Make a motion to approve the claims docket, March 11th, 2019.
Second.
Been a motion made, properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to ask for approval for the allowance docket, February 1st to February 28th, 2019.
Make a motion to approve the allowance docket, January 1st to January 31st, 2019.
Second.
There's been a motion made, properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carries. The approval of revenue report for January 31st, 2019. Yeah, I haven't done it, I didn't skip the things for March.
You're on allowance docket for February.
Yeah, now we're on the, we can go back to approval for the claims docket March 11th, 2019.
I thought that's the first one we did.
I skipped that, I did the two allowance, sorry.
Make a motion that we approve the claims docket for March 11th, 2019.
Second.
It's been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carries. I'd like to ask for approval of the revenue report for February 28th, 2019.
You want the allowance docket on February.
We did both.
We didn't, now we're in approval.
Yeah.
Make a motion we approve the revenue report, January 31st, 2019.
Second.
Been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'd like to ask approval of the revenue report for February 28th, 2019.
Make a motion we approve the revenue report, February 28th, 2019.
Second.
It's been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to ask for approval of the appropriations report for January 31st, 2019.
Make a motion we approve the appropriations report for January 31st, 2019.
Second.
Been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to ask for approval of appropriations report February 28th, 2019.
Motion we approve the February 28th appropriations report.
Second.
Been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Do clerk treasurer's report.
Okay, the first thing, I gave everybody a copy of the resolution of transfer for appropriations. So since I had to do, the annual report that was due March 1st, this is the approval of the transfers that Retha and I had to do. We had a lot of negative appropriation accounts because checks were being written out of wrong appropriation accounts. So this is just showing all of the transfers that we had to do. So I just asked the board to approve that transfer of appropriations to, for the annual report.
Make a motion that we approve the transfer of appropriations.
Second.
Been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, so, the other packet that's in there is also just everything that printed off when we finished the, annual report that has been submitted online. You'll also see an invoice in here from Mark Jones. Our website, our new website is up and running. It's absolutely beautiful. I love what Mark has done with it. I think it's a lot user-friendly. But this is the bill for the hosting of the new website, the software to run it, and his time to design it. So I just asked the board to approve that I pay the $1,951.50 for our website.
Is that the Dayton.in.gov?
Correct.
And is that hosting for the entire year, just up
Yes.
till now?
I'm almost 110% sure that the $264 is the year. Yeah, because it says annual subscription.
Is there any word from them about getting emails through there?
That's my next subject. Yep.
$7,951.50.
Second.
Been a motion made, properly seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So I don't know if a lot of people have been on the new website, but Mark, his partner, him and his friend came out with a drone and they took pictures of around the town and everything. So once we get out of this nasty weather and the flowers start blooming and the grass gets green, what my plan is to go around and find all of the local businesses all throughout town, take pictures of them, and put them on our Town of Dayton website, because I feel like all of our small businesses should be recognized in the town. So just waiting for spring to bloom a little bit on that. So the website, or excuse me, the email, so I talked to Mark Jones. So to get IN.gov emails for all of the board members, as when we had our meeting with Luke, he stressed how important it was that the board members do not have Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail emails, for the fact that we're sending important government confidential information, financial stuff, private information. So to get all of the board members an IN.gov website, or excuse me, email, it's $96 per year per email, so it breaks it down to $8 per month. So then that, he is also able to help, so you guys don't have spam mail coming through. And then a lot of the residents want to be able to contact board members, and instead of you guys putting out your cell phones or your personal emails, by having that .gov websites, then we can add that to the website. So if a resident does want to contact one of you directly, then they would have the choice to do that. So Mark said that he could come in, you guys could have it on your phones. It's the Office 365. So you guys could either just add it in if you, because like on my phone I have 5 different emails in that account, or you can upload the Office 365. So if you choose to do that, then I can give him the go to get you each. And then since we do have an election year coming up, he did say that if there's transfers of board members, then at that time, whoever takes over in the new election year, then those can be transferred, passwords can be changed to those new board members. So if you guys would like to do that, then if you can make a motion to get that set up.
Remind me the price.
It's $96 per year per email, which breaks down to $8 per month per email.
So we're like $500 a year.
For security emails. If we were ever, if there was ever like a subpoena for emails, then you guys would be handing over everything that you have in your email that's personal. And personal emails, google.com, they just don't have the security, and they're too easy to be hacked in with the information that we're sending to each other to read, to our bank. I mean, I send our ACH transfers to the bank with our account information. You guys have had them before. Mark said that he thought that you guys got rid of them because of not being able to have them on the cell phones and have easy access, but he said it's a lot more.
I don't think we like, me personally, I got enough email addresses without any more.
I know, I'm just going off of also what Luke said. He said when you're in the government and you've got town business like that, it's a safety precaution for the town.
I make a motion to get those.
I'll second it.
Been a motion made and properly seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Another thing, I've been contacted, apparently we're supposed to do a video franchise fee report every year. So like Mulberry Co-op and Comcast pay us like a cable franchise fee and all of that, and so we're supposed to report that every year and what we're using to spend that money with, and it's not been done since 2013. So I have got that updated, so hopefully going on here on out, that will be.
That goes, is that the money that goes to the ADA stuff?
We have a cable
That's what-
franchise
That's what we used
appropriation
to,
account.
$7,000 or so, we used to shove it in there for the ADA compliance.
I just know that it goes in, if that's what it, I know we didn't use that much of it last year, and we found out that That cable franchise fee can be used for anything. It can be used for the police, it can be used for roads.
That's
We-
okay, but I think we have it, we did an ordinance years ago specifically stating where that money had to go, so you might look it up, we might
Okay.
need to change that ordinance.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll look into that.
Well, we need to, if it funds the ADA, we need to certainly continue to do that. We've got sidewalks we need to.
And I mean, there's not, I think last year, there was only like 15,000 in it, so it's not like a huge account. But the money is there. So I'll look into seeing if we do have an ordinance of what it says.
I think we're required to put so much into the ADA.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And that falls along with
That's
the
what-
sidewalks, if somebody falls, I mean, somebody's 50/50 on somebody's got a straightaway sidewalk, it's fine, but if it comes to a corner, it's gotta be ADA corner, handicap accessible, that can get more expensive for the owner, doing it 50/50.
We have, especially back in the Crestwood neighborhood, you know, some of those have ramps, but the other ones absolutely need ramps installed.
With the government, why we came up with that, the government made you do a percentage of that figure we came up with, and that was
Improvements every year.
yeah. I mean, it can accumulate, but you still need to use it for that.
I will definitely check into that.
Well, a lot of the sidewalks we did in front of the school on Market Street, and we used some ADA funds on that sidewalk, so we are using it.
And I do have a meeting with Retha on the 28th, to go further overall everything of what we can spend and where we can spend it and how we can spend it. So that will be on the 28th. So my next thing, I believe I put in your guys' packet a copy of the salary ordinance, 2018-6. We addressed this at the last meeting. We're not changing anything on this ordinance, the original one is nowhere to be found. So Reed just said that we need that re-signed. So if we can just go ahead and get that re-signed so that I can get that noted. Then, we do have the amended ordinance for the salary because the one that was originally that was approved for 2018, it does not have the corrected salary adjustments on there. So the ordinance 2018-2 is the amended salary ordinance. So it does have the correct salary increase for the marshal and our maintenance superintendent. I also added in, after talking with Scott and Tammy, I don't know if you and I had talked about holidays. We were going over the employee handbook, and I guess it was talked about and approved maybe in fall of 2017, about going to the holiday schedule that Tippecanoe County is on, the observing. So I added that in on the last section of, was it 7 holidays that was on the handbook? Or and then we changed, or got changed to 13?
Yeah, it used to be 7 long time ago.
Okay, yeah, so I just added those in, not saying that we're gonna choose to be closed that day, but they're there for observation following what Tippecanoe County. According to Reed, he sent me an email stating that we need to do a first reading for the amended salary and then sign it at the next meeting. And Shannon, we were talking, does that sound correct with you?
Yes.
Can we suspend the rules and just do it all this?
I mean, and that's what I was wondering too, it's the same thing, we're just,
Because it doesn't have to be advertised, right? I mean, it's already done.
yeah, it's just we couldn't find the signed one and then it didn't have the correction.
As soon as we can do the second reading and clean it up.
Okay, then yeah, if you guys wanna go and do that?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended salary ordinance 2019-2.
Second.
The motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So the motion carries. I'd like to suspend the rules and do a second reading vote on salary ordinance amendment 2019-2. Motion made, properly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, the next thing, I also addressed at the last meeting about the the duplicated numbers. So the salary ordinance that was originated last year, was the 2018-6, but then also the, the budget ordinance was also numbered 2018-6. Reed just said that I need to ask the board to make an emotion, and if you guys need to see it, this is the copy that I had put in your guys' packets last month. So I just need to make a motion in the board to approve renumbering for the next number in line to make thank you, the budget ordinance actually to be 2018-10.
Make a motion that we renumber budget ordinance to 2018-10.
Second.
Been a motion made, properly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries.
And then I think that's it on my side.
Town attorney, anything?
See if I get it right this time. I have nothing.
Sounds good. Okay. Town marshal.
If I sound kind of stuffy, I'm fighting a cold, so I apologize. I can't be heard too well. I'll try to be as brief as I can. It's been a lengthy meeting. I have a training request for the end of April, like the tennis supervision management leadership skills course over the 3-day period end of April. Cost of that's $325. We have, I believe, several $1,000s in our law enforcement continuing education account, so we can take that from their direction.
Make a motion to mark it in the training.
Second.
There's been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
I've alluded to several meetings that I've been researching replacement body cameras. Had meetings with all the council members to discuss those. And I've got a brief summary of that suggestion, not only for the council but for the public here also. We need to update and replace the current cameras for the following reasons. The batteries are at the end of their lifespan and cannot be replaced. The USB ports are wearing out and causing connectivity problems, and basically the technology is outdated. I'm recommending that we purchase Axon cameras. The benefits to those, they have an extended 12-hour battery life. They have a more secure attachment system to the uniform. They've been evaluated, tested, and implemented by Lafayette Police Department and Tippecanoe County Sheriff's Office. I'm also suggesting that we get and purchase evidence.com software package. This will be to manage the digital evidence and will offer an improvement over our current methods of digital storage by offering a more secure method of storing and filing. This will be accomplished by removing the need to manually name, save, and store body cam files. A digital chain of custody will exist for all files, adding to security levels also. We will have different levels of access rights for each officer or management, and this can also be set. Automatic retention times can be set, resulting in a decrease in the amount of storage needed, and thus reducing costs. This software will integrate with our current Central Square report management system and computer-aided dispatch to reduce or eliminate the amount of time needed to label each individual video. The system is CJIS compliant and offers full encryption. By utilizing the same system as the Tippecanoe County Sheriff's Department, this is proven to reduce our overall technology and maintenance costs in the past, and I would expect it to continue to do so. The main benefit of this system will ultimately help reduce the amount of administrative time needed for body cameras and to keep officers on patrol more. It will also increase the transparency with the public. Moving on to the actual cost of this system. I've studied this for several months, got several quotes through Axon, thought long and hard before suggesting this. It is quite a bit more than we paid for our initial program, but I think it's where we need to move with our department in regards to body cams. The first year cost for this system is $7,001, and each year through year 5 of a 5-year contract will be $3,468 for a total 5-year cost of $20,873. I realize this seems like a lot, but when you boil this down per year cost per officer, it's a little under $800. So I think the benefits far outweigh the negative aspects of this, and this will really bring a positive aspect to our body camera program, and really increase the transparency that we have. That's it in kind of a nutshell. Any specific questions?
Does it, I know working with the county and Lafayette, doesn't have the same equipment, have the same program, make it easier for you guys to cross over on information?
Definitely. We're all on the same computer system. When I refer to this central square RMS management system, we're all on that same system. So by them also implementing this body camera, we're just basically coming in on the tail end of it. They've already been able to work out the kinks, so we're able to take advantage of that and hopefully be a lot smoother transition for us, being one of the last agencies to implement it. Sheriff's Department is just getting ready to go with total full CAD integration, and basically it's just a big time saver for me. Our current system is very simplistic, and this will allow us to automatically label files without a lot of hand manipulation, which can result in errors or even possibly lost data. And then the second aspect of that, by tagging on with the Sheriff's Department, when I have something go down or I have a glitch in the software or something, I can rely on their IT department to help us through that. And we don't have to expend money out of our own pocket to get that fixed. So a little bit more money on the front end of it, but it really makes it smoother by being with the same program, software, devices that the larger departments are using.
If you said, like, save an hour a day download and all that stuff, half hour an hour, there's 3,600 to 7,200 a year right there, just by having that equipment. So.
Exactly. Right now, it's all hands-on file manipulation. An officer at the end of his shift brings a camera in, plugs it in, he waits for it to download, then he's got to label each individual video file, and then he's got to delete it off of the camera. With this system, our hopes are an officer comes in, he sticks it in a cradle, walks off and leaves. He's done. So he doesn't have to sit there and manually wait for that to download. And obviously, the more video you have, the more it takes. And the most important part of this is our current system. We try to trust all our law enforcement officers, but it is manually operated by the officer. So we're all humans, and when an officer has a video that he doesn't like, he can delete it. We rely on him not to do that, but it's possible, it can be done. With this system, that's not possible. There'll be one person with administrative rights, and that'll be me, and all they can do is view the file. I can still come in and delete it, but when I say the chain of custody is in place here, there's always a digital record of whoever accesses that file and what happened to it. So even though, yes, I can delete it, I'm held accountable as to why I deleted it. And I'm not saying deletion is a bad thing. We don't retain these files forever. It just depends on the type of case, the type of situation. Traffic stop, we may keep on file for 6 months. whereas a felony investigation, we may keep on file for 6 years. So there are different retention levels, but this system allows us to have the ability to automatically take those classifications and delete them automatically, so that keeps our storage costs down. And I don't have to manually go in there, read through the reports and say, well, that digital file from 2015, I can now delete it. This will make that more automated.
I make a motion that we approve the new body camera system for the police department.
Put a motion made, properly seconded.
I took the liberty to make a sample motion with the contract. Try to ease you up there. You beat me to the punch.
I make a motion we accept the included quote with the Excel Enterprise Incorporated for body worn cameras, evidence.com software, and that includes a 5-year contract with 1-year cost being $7,100 and years 2 through 5 being $34.68 each year for a total of $20,873.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. If you need shorter motions.
I try to be accurate. If someone could sign that, and then if I could have your authority to sign the contract sent back to Axel. I'll make sure you have a copy of the town council.
In that long motion. For my minutes.
Anything else, or just?
That's all I got.
All right.
I figured that was enough.
All right. Miscellaneous, new and old business.
Let me say one thing on new business. At the last board meeting, we'd asked Umbo and Associates to do some due diligence on, get back with the board on facts and figures on the TIF district. And he is available on March the 28th at 6 p.m. to address the board and citizens. So I would like to schedule a special meeting March 28th at 6 p.m. to receive information from Umbo and Associates on both TIF and annexation of that area.
I will second that. There's been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. So there will be a public meeting, March 28th at 6 p.m. here with Umbo Associates for TIF and annexation discussion.
And if you haven't seen the Channel 18 news at 6 o'clock, you ought to watch it. There's a little bit on there about Dayton and growth and Yost Drive, and Area Plant Commissioner Sally Fahey was interviewed, and there's several people here in town that were also interviewed. So it's a pretty good piece. And I think we're ready to talk about South Street. So Ron Kohler and I, South Street is one of the 3 dead-end streets here in Dayton that we've talked about earlier tonight. And Ron Kohler and myself had met with the landowner and presented our idea as far as doing a cul-de-sac. We're taking South Street extended all the way through to Adams Road. And the landowner actually come up with another plan, and his plan was to have South Street extend and then turn and go north beside the Masonic Lodge and come out on State Road 38 directly across from the existing Delaware Street. And so that made a lot of sense to Ron and I. After that meeting with the landowner, we had an opportunity to talk to NDOT, and NDOT, you guys can pass those around. We asked NDOT about that idea, and they were encouraging. Let me pass these around. And they suggested that we talk to Tippecanoe County Technical Transportation Committee president, and we talked to her, and she was encouraging in her remarks about pursuing this type of alternative to having a long dead end street. So, in your board package, you have that. We also have cost estimates on the back of it. With NDOT getting ready to reconstruct State Road 38 from Conjunction to Adams Road, that should happen in 2020, 2021 time period. If we're going to do something like this, now is definitely the time to do it, so we can get in early with their engineering, and it will ultimately save us money if we can get it engineered in while they're doing their road. In the drawing you have, there's proposed to close the entrances to the Masonic Lodge and have the new entrance come off the new road. We have not talked to the Masonic Lodge about that. I don't know their feelings on that, but it was a thought, and NDOT would definitely like to see those two entrances be closed. Okay, good. So if it's the council's property, I'll take questions, Ron and I can answer questions, but ultimately I'd like to get approval to dive into this a little bit deeper and talk to the property owner more, and possibly start on some engineering work.
After Mark's presentation on what money we're gonna have to come up with for that Yoast, I don't know how much use this $220,000 road's gonna do for us, but is there any way you can just make the cut when they do the redo 38? Go ahead and make the cut in there, and then at another time, continue that road out, and then make a cul-de-sac at the end of South Street like we originally planned, instead of spending $220,000 taking a road through that goes to nothing.
Well, what you're saying too is this 220, we don't get, because Ashley was saying it's a new road, you don't get the community crossroads stuff, so this comes out of Dayton's coffers,
Sure.
and
So I'm wondering if you just, I know we gotta get with the state, but can we just have them make the cut there? Have it ready for when we want to put it.
Yeah, if you can get rid of the driveways, you'll probably have to go all the way down to give the Masonic Lodge a new entrance. I kind of, Ron, you were in the meeting, I kind of got the impression from NDOT that closing the entrances on 38 to the Masonic Lodge weighed pretty heavy on whether they'd be have much appetite for
yeah,
this.
they're not gonna let probably all the entrances, but I think by moving that up and moving it west up toward that hill, it'd be interesting to see what that NDOT says. I went into that field and stood there and looked up. It's different than coming across from the cemetery. That crest on that hill, it's already, they claimed as dangerous down by the Masonic Hall, and they didn't want any new entrances down there, let alone moving it up.
Design that hill.
Yeah, Mark knows, Mark was told that Delaware Street will be 8 inches lower than it is now.
38 will be at Delaware.
At 38.
There's an 8-inch cut there. It's more of a cut coming back to the west, but that's
They'll have to do quite a cut there.
Right.
But I think, like Mike's saying, I think that's smart, put the cut there. But I think as a board, we gotta think long and hard about spending $220,000 to go through. I'd rather put a temporary cul-de-sac or something, and then see what's gonna happen with the land, or, I'm for the developers, I've already talked to Andrew. I'm for the developers paying, when it's gonna increase their land, them paying a big cost of this. Instead of always just doing it for the developer. But I think before we keep doing a lot of these projects, I think we need to find out from Michelle, let her get all the books done and everything, and see where the heck we stand on all this money, and have that from the state to be sure we don't have to come up and do, that we got everything in the right categories and stuff, So,
Ron, I agree with you, about the books and stuff. What I'm asking for is permission to talk to the landowner more, present an idea, see if this is something that they're interested in. I'm not asking for an open checkbook to start building the road tomorrow. I'm asking to pursue it a little bit further. This is the first look for everybody. And, I'm not talking about hiring an engineering to draw it out and such.
Probably you're talking about more going to NDOT, getting the approval, see what they say first before we even make
Take it a little bit further down the line to see.
Can it even be done or not?
Right, and I think I'd start with NDOT, because it was always my understanding that nothing could exit dump out onto 38.
Right, and that's, I don't know about Ron, but I was surprised when we were talking to the NDOT guy about this, and he said, yeah, we're interested in taking a look at it. And he's, running, he said that, if the new county technical transportation committee would back the project, money-wise, they're not backing it, but they put their blessing on it. That weighs pretty heavy with NDOT, so, I'd like to chase it a little bit further down the line.
I'll make a motion to look into it.
Second.
Appreciate it.
There's been a motion made and properly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
You'll hand that back here, Ty.
You got a question?
Gordon Hardybeck, 7701 Adams Road. Year and a half ago, Dollar General come up here and wanted to buy that.
Yes.
And everybody said, you don't want to put it on that hill. I come out, and this is exactly what you're just talking about doing.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but if there's any way you can move it up, because that's right in the middle of that hill, and somebody's gonna get killed there, because, I come off Adams Road, you can't see. And, they're gonna bring it up. I mean, if it was on top of the hill, it'd be a no-brainer, but it's down on that hill. And you had a big concern the last time about Dollar General, people coming out of there getting hit.
They'd have to lower that hill quite a bit, more than 8 inches.
I just got a letter this week about 38 being redone from Conjunction down to Adams Road. And, they're talking about taking the current 35-foot pavement out to 40 feet, talking about sidewalks and such. So it'll correspond with the rest of town. I don't know if you were in Dayton when back in 2007, when 38 was redone through Dayton, but
Yeah,
I think you would agree that it changed dramatically in its appearance, and I suspect going east out of town that we'll see a dramatic change in that appearance.
Well, they'd have to change that hill,
Yeah.
because it would just be really super
So
dangerous.
NDOT knowing what they're gonna do and knowing what Dayton would like,
But what year they go to do that?
2021, is that correct now? Yeah. So it's coming around the corner, so. But, we're just seeing if it fits, and, if it does, then we'll talk more about it. Yeah, please. It's your meeting.
Okay, I lived on South Street, that's where my house burned. Why do you need another exit down there? There are 3 streets and 2 paved alleys for 1 business and 16 homes on South Street. I don't understand why you need another entrance down there.
You cannot improve the alleyway because of the structures. The alleyway at the end of South Street, you cannot improve that any wider because of the limitations of the current buildings and
It's the
stuff.
homes right there.
Yeah.
Okay, but you've got Dayton Road, Briggs Drive, Conjunction, you've got the alley that was between mine and the next. For 16 houses?
You got dead end, so we got garbage trucks, trying to get around that corner, go up that alleyway. Again, you can't make it any wider. You can't pass anybody in that alleyway. It's again, one of those.
I agree, but I'm thinking, Adams Road is a dead end. So I fully, whatever the new design come up and going down on 38, that I can understand. I couldn't understand why you were taking it down this road and coming in. I know, but the first time that I heard it, that's how it was proposed. Now I can understand this on the other side,
So this
especially.
just makes more sense to you?
A little bit.
Okay.
When this first all came up, I personally think the alleys there had every fire truck and garbage truck go up it, and I think you could easily widen it 1 foot on each side. But if it's a curving, you go down there by those apartments,
It is sharp.
it's
It is
sharp, but it's plenty of room to get through. We just got decided we want to spend more town money, need to put the cul-de-sac or whatever, but we can check into it, but it's, you're right on. I don't know. It's a luxury. I guess.
If you read go online, read the preliminary engineering report, and it talks a lot about, why you get rid of
That part I
dead end
understand. I
streets,
understand.
continuity.
I guess I'm thinking all the years I've lived there, there were a few times that, yes, if I was headed out east, I went out that alley, and I think one time in all the 20 years I lived there, only met one person coming in. So I understand, you can't pass in that, I get it. It just seems like
Years
an
ago,
awful lot of
they
money.
the people that owned it will want to put multifamily housing down there. Well, unless, NDOT told them unless they can have a separate entrance, a second
Separate, yeah, okay.
entrance out of there,
You
it
couldn't
wouldn't
do it.
allow. And they couldn't get the land
Okay.
to get a second exit entrance out of there, so it died. So
Well, I just never understand why you were putting another entrance or exit down there on 38 when you had all these exits.
It's not the reason to do it, but a side benefit is I would think would be, to allow that area to, be used for, that's R1 zoning housing in that area, everybody wants, there's no R1 zoning, in Dayton that you can buy, well,
Well,
the
especially if
roads.
you get the hill reduced,
Yeah.
that as is, no, absolutely not, huh?
We just spent, was it $60,000, building a parking shoulder in front of the school on Market Street, hey, we had gravel there, that was fine, nobody, everybody got used to it and all that, but,
And deal
this
with
is,
what you have.
the board is tasked to not just leave everything alone and never change anything,
I get it.
we're tasked with
But now you
moving
gotta
forward,
set your
improving,
priorities.
putting water meters in, that are radio reads, updating lift stations, clean up drainage ditches, paving streets, building sidewalk, building.
Okay, Susan, go ahead.
Susan Clausen, 295 Conjunction Street. I have 2 points. One, if you remember, I think I'm remembering this correctly, when they were working on the road before, they had 38 shut down, and the only way to get around was to go down South Street and come out that alley. I remember doing that.
Okay,
They were
I
working
don't
on
remember, but-
something, and you couldn't drive down 38, you had to go across it. And in
But
order
when
to
the
go.
tornado came through, that was true.
What?
When the tornado came through, that I remember. But
No,
38
this-
was torn
no,
up a
this wasn't
long
the
time.
tornado, this was longer than that. But in order to get to the gas station, I had to go out north of town and go all around Robin Hood's barn to get to the gas station. And if I wanted to go that way, I ended up going down South Street and coming out that alley. I really didn't know you could get out South Street that way.
Do you remember that, Mom? I don't remember that at all.
So I wonder when they close 38 in order to do this work, how they're gonna route the traffic. They route it around on the state highways, which means you have to go up to 26 and down who knows where in order to get around. Then the other point is, the Lodge Hall down there now has Dayton Lodge, Hope Chapter Eastern Star, Lodge 123 from Lafayette, and a Knights of Pythias Lodge. So they have a lot more traffic down there than they used to. And they're always complaining that the semis park back there, so they've got the entrance to the parking lot narrowed down so it's a one-way entrance. So I would really like it, I can't speak officially for the Lodge Hall, but I would really like a different way to get into that parking lot. Because I used to jump off the road as fast as I could, but now what can I do? I have to go through this narrow entrance, so I just have to slow down and hope nobody runs into my trunk as I'm trying to turn in that entrance way. So if you want to do this, please talk to the fathers of the Lodge Hall and get their input. I think that they'd be interested in it because it would make it harder for semis to pull into their parking lot, and they've been complaining about that for years.
Take care of that problem.
Well, actually, the way this is drawn, I
Thank
think
you.
it'll be easier for semis to get in and pull right in there.
They don't want semis.
So, quick question, the 220,000, that we can't get grants or anything for that if we decided to do it? So, just out of my general common sense, which is my question that, so if we have to come up with $1 million for Yost Road, I mean, 220,000 of that would be 20% of that, so if we want, I mean, wouldn't it be smart to not throw out 220,000 on a project when we're gonna have to our portion? I mean, that's my job, I'm trying to tell you guys whether we have or not, and if we've gotta come up and start setting that money behind, just like Mike said, I mean, is it really worth the 220,000 when you're wanting to do Yost Road?
Well, I think we need to dive into it further and see where it leads us. You know, we haven't spent any money yet, and certainly as a board, we decide if and when to spend money if they ever did.
And that would even allow you to do it.
I'm just concerned it being March and we're already talking about all of these huge projects. It's frightening not to know, and this is what Mark and I have discussed about. I mean, we need to know like exactly what the town is spending or wanting.
Well, absolutely. And we as a board want to know that too.
Right.
Because, but you know, we'll have a TIF meeting, in TIF and annexation on the 28th. You know, hopefully that'll answer some questions. You know, not that it's huge as far as money goes, but, you know, we'll have a new subdivision that's going to be, you know, turning dirt over here relatively soon, so in upcoming years, you know, I would think Dayton would receive more tax revenue.
But if you put in a TIF district, exactly when does the town start seeing the benefit of that money? Doesn't it take?
When business happens out there.
You gotta have the business.
Well, you gotta have the businesses,
So you know, what we have right now today, you know, do I think it's never gonna change? No, I think it will change. I think there will be growth here and there, and is it gonna be enough growth to fit 100% of that bill? I don't know, you know, probably not, okay?
I think with the
You know, one reason of doing the TIF district is to fund infrastructure for that area. So the reason you would do TIF that area is so that you can provide that infrastructure. You can provide that, the road and the necessary drainage and utilities that go with that, and have the businesses in that TIF area pay for it rather than the taxpayers of Dayton. That's the whole premise behind the TIF.
Right. And I understand that. I'm just saying, because we don't have the hotel in there yet, we don't have the semi-dealer in there yet.
You still gotta have, what you're getting at is you still gotta have the monies to do these projects, your 25%, your 20% and all that. And that's why they said towns can't get too low on their funds and everything as percentages. When these grants come along, a lot of towns just don't have the funds to come up with that. Now, once you have the funds, and once you do your TIF, and once you do something, maybe 10 years later, 8 years later, 6 years later, it pays for itself. But that's what you gotta find out, is how much, we need to find out where we're sitting.
That's kind of where I'm leaning towards putting the money to the Yost with the TIF district. Didn't say 5 years down the road, that money can be used to do that 220,000.
Yeah.
It can.
I thought it has to benefit that over there.
The TIF money's gotta be used up there. But there's some things.
You can do improvements for the town. You can,
You know, if it's related to the TIF area, so, you know, you can make improvements of 38, because 38 ties into that TIF area, but as far as taking TIF money from that district and using it somewhere else in town,
Why don't we ask them, Mike, because I
I
thought,
one place used it for lights down their street.
yeah, that's what I thought. He said you could designate some of it for other
the way
areas.
that you gotta use that street is connected to that TIF area coming into it.
The way that you can use it is if you set it up in an economic development section that you have funded out. So if you said you want to use that economic development, you're going to develop down here, you can possibly use it, but there's a lot of gray area. Like, it's not.
He can tell us.
Yeah, when he's here on 20th, we're talking.
Warren Colmar, 749 Shady Lane. This is just an option, but I just wanted to say, instead of going clear out there, might as well look into how much it would be to purchase that house. If they wanted to sell it, and just widen the alley that's there. Because that might be cheaper than doing all of that, and by doing that, all you're doing is making it easier for whoever's going to develop this. You're just giving that to them, and it might cost you more.
We could check.
Now, I mean, the house can't be that expensive.
The white one on the one side is 190. We need to check too.
That's over here.
The house on the corner, not the one up by the 38.
Yeah.
So to be clear on this South Street, Ron and I can chase this a little bit further.
As long as you don't spend money.
Thank you.
Right now.
I work every day for free.
There you go. Yeah.
At least we're gonna get that water line across 38, so if we do that, at the very least, we've already looked at 38 about it.
Yeah, we're good there. That's all I got.
So, any more miscellaneous or new and old business from the audience? Comments from residents? Oh, do you have somebody new and old?
Gordon Hardy, back 77 Adams Road. I've heard Ashley say this 2 or 3 times tonight, where they were just a few weeks from starting digging down here. And since I talked for me and my neighbors, I have not heard the first thing about water runoff down over the hill. I really don't know how they can start digging when they're talking about water going over the hill. You know, we went through this before. I sent a certified letter, nobody got it because of the clerk we had at the time. And then here, I don't know, 5, 6 months ago, I went and passed one out to every one of you. You all got that stuff. I've been in contact with Mike Wolf of IDEM, and he says there will have to be something done. So I don't know how they can start up here unless they do stormwater. And you know, a couple of years ago, I heard you guys talk about there's 1 million gallons coming in, but we're paying for 2 million gallons going to wastewater. Well, you know, you don't want to run that in your sewer because you're going to pay for it. You know, I mean, I think they're getting a cart way before the horse. They got to find out if they can go that way. Because when I talked to him on the phone, he said there's no way 2 of them ponds will be a leach pond where the water will go down. He says because it's the wrong kind of soil. So he says they're going to have to get rid of it somewhere. Has anybody, and when I talked to the county surveyor, he says it's up to you town board members. So I'm taking it you guys are going to take whatever the engineer tells you?
We've had BF&S do their drainage review, and they have 50 conditions that have to be met and fixed before they can mine. We actually have a BF&S person here, he could speak if you would like to answer any questions.
I called down there to find out because I have property down there and I've talked, I'm retired and I can come up here to these meetings, I don't have to worry about them being late. Michelle told me she didn't really want to talk to me because she was afraid that, you know, 10 minutes here and 15 minutes here and 10 minutes here, that goes on your dime. Not this, Michelle. It goes on your dime because they're charging you by the hour. So they said for me to talk to Mark. Well, you know, Mark, he don't hear nothing. I've called him 2 or 3 times. Anything new? No. So what are we supposed to do?
Well, I think we need to wait until we have approved drainage plan back from BF&S. And I think that'll be something that they'll present to the board and to the, in a public meeting to citizens and dispute what findings they have at that time.
And this is a question of yes or no. Are you gonna allow them to start doing their stuff before they get to approve?
No, absolutely
Yeah, they can't get the permits, I don't think, from the
not.
city.
You know, you mentioned something about me saying that they're a few weeks away from.
And you just said it just 5 minutes ago, said, you know, we could be digging down there at any minute.
No, they're quite a few months away from doing any dirt work down there.
I don't think I'm the only one.
I'm sorry if I misstated, but they're, you know, several months away from.
Now, that's different from what
They
you
still
said
have,
before.
they still have, you know, drainage approval and several other things.
Because there's gonna be a ton of water coming down that hill.
Well, there already is, yeah.
There already is, but the problem is now, they're gonna put all this, houses, sidewalks, streets. And now you're not gonna get soakage into the land to go down, because now it's gonna be up on top of hard pan. And guess where it's going? Water does run downhill. And I know you've only got a pole barn down there. It's not gonna hurt you. I mean, if your house was down there, you'd have the same concern, but your house is 30 feet higher. You know, I don't have just pole barns, we've got houses down there.
And the drainage plan will, I'm sure will address regulations.
And I have talked to the neighbor that owns the land that they need to go through. He has not heard nothing from the developers or anything about them even asking about going across there or anything. I would think they need to be getting, you kinda gotta get the horse to trotting before you get him to run, you know? And that's what I'm wondering, you know, we're kinda stuck, we go wait until they start digging it. Then, you know, once they get all this money, then how you gonna stop them?
That's why we have a development plan in place.
Yeah, and you know, I just don't want, you know, I wouldn't want water running on your house. We just wanna make sure they do it right,
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
Because you don't want water running down there, because it's just gonna be a small.
Drainage plan will, I'm sure will be forthcoming here. I don't know where they are in it, but
Yeah.
I'm sure in the next, 30 days, 45 days.
Because I have talked to Mr. Wolf,
Yeah.
and he says, well, you need to let me know what, he says, because I haven't heard anything anyway.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get a copy of Mr. Wolf too, also. That's
Well,
what
it was when, the one they sent to you guys, all of you got, his comments were on there that Michelle put on there.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't have to sign off on anybody's deals.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't, either will or won't sign off.
Right, and that's why I just wanna make sure they don't get the cart before the horse on starting
Michelle had quite the checklist that they had to,
64 items.
yeah, so
Because I got one too.
that's not gonna be a quick, couple few weeks down the road start.
Oh, no,
They
you
got lots of-
know, there's all kinds of stuff. But, you know, my thing is the drainage, and I just, 'cause it's been told to me that you board members are the ones that is in control of it. The county surveyor has nothing to do with it.
We're in charge of hiring the people, but they have to get a permit from the city before they can do anything.
They have to,
So we've hired our engineers to do it, and then they have to get approval again.
they've gotta meet all the codes of the county, and then they'll sign, because if not, they sign off of it and they don't do it, then you're in trouble. You know, and I just wanna make sure it's right.
So you understand the checks and balances and all this?
Yeah, but I still haven't heard nothing from nobody.
Well, we have-
Nobody hasn't even called and said, well, there's nothing new, Gordon.
Well, you
I've
said-
heard nothing.
You said you had a copy of the.
I got the same copy you
The
got,
items.
I got the same copy you got 6 weeks ago.
So you have heard something, but yeah.
But then I hear you say that they're gonna start digging.
Well,
They're
you're
gonna be
the
digging
con-
every time.
If you're the contact person, maybe Michelle could contact you once every couple of weeks or once a week.
That's something else he told me to tell, to make sure that we kept informed of what's going on. And all it takes is, there's nothing new going on. But I don't have even got any.
There's nothing new going on until, when we know, we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tell her to contact me.
Comments from residents.
I have a on that, not particularly on that, but on.
Anything.
Okay.
Didn't you say they're gonna be
On
breaking ground a couple
runoff
weeks
and
ago?
drainage. I'm having a real problem with it. I live
What's
over on
that
Main
about?
Street. My name is Karen Howell. I live on the middle of Main Street, 726. And we've done tons of work on our foundation and drainage, trying to take care of it. But there, for example, we have had like 60 days of water in our basement. We have a sump pump just running, it runs like you breathe. The water goes down in our yard and it comes back up in the pump and it dumps it out. And our neighbor is the same way. It looks like we have Old Faithful in our neighbor's backyard. It's constantly shooting out water. And both of us, if we have a power outage, which we did not terribly long ago, and at the time I didn't have a backup system for my sump pump, and in 1 hour I had 19 inches of water in my basement. And it's just like I'm constantly fighting it, and I talked to Mark about this, and it's like I went down to the county surveyor's office or whoever does this drainage thing, and they said, you know, that you all deal with in your town, we don't make a decision for Dayton. But our whole street on our side, it's pretty much all flat, and so anything that comes down our way, it's not going away. And then I talked to Ashley about it before, and he said something about a drainage ditch back further between us and, I don't know what the street is that goes to the school off of Dayton Road. College Street, yeah, and, you know, so I finally saw where that was. Mark pointed out to me, you know, where the area is, but, you know, it's like, my neighbor would like to put a fence in their backyard and use their backyard, but, you know, they said it's just like a swamp out there, and ours is too. It's like walking across pudding with a crust on it when it rains. It's just not draining. It takes forever. And when I originally had my sump system put in, the contractor told me that you need to tie this so that it drains into the stormwater system. But I didn't know where that is, or how to do that. I mean, I read all the ordinances, I know it does not go into the sanitary sewer, I know that. But I can't figure out how to get the water to the storm sewer. And then Mark explained to me at the end of my street, at Dayton Road and Main Street, there's a drain there, that's where that giant hole is from where they paved, and there's that big dip. But it's just like, I'm not sure how to get the water to there, or they're talking about putting a tile across the back between us and College Street, parallel to College Street, but I'm not sure how I get a drain tile to go back there. I'm not sure what to do about the problem. So meanwhile, I'm just kind of pumping it up and pumping it down. And then I did use a transfer pump and transferred it to the back more part of my property, so it would be more away from where my basement area is, so it wouldn't keep coming down in the basement. And I measured that, and in hours I had 750 gallons of water I pumped out of there, and it was still all mushy. So I mean, I understand his concern about drainage with this other thing, because it's just like, what do you do? I mean, I don't exactly have a creek bed or anything behind me, or a ditch that it could go to in front of me, and apparently the storm sewer is on the opposite side of the road from me, and the drains are, so I'm not sure really what to do except maybe make a water feature in my basement, or maybe have a contractor just pour it in with concrete and get rid of it, because I don't know how to take care of it. I mean, I hear that sump pump running all the time when it rains, and, you know, we've put gutters on, and we've tried every way to remediate that. We've run the water from the gutters out 12 feet, which the contractor told us to do too, to get it away from the house. But it really has nowhere to go, because we're kind of just like the street's right in front of us, and it's all flat. So I don't know if you guys have any suggestions or, you know, remedies for that. But, you know, I'm thinking about him and the water situation he's talking about with this runoff. And I don't know, like, what kind of soil is here, but it doesn't seem like it perks real good, and maybe that's why y'all put in a city sewer system and got rid of the septic. I don't know. But anyway, that's kind of like my dilemma.
Mark, any ideas on that?
Well, I brought it up at the last board meeting that we need to make stormwater improvements where Dayton Road and Main meet. And it was, I brought that up because I've been with her twice about the situation. That intersection on both sides of Dayton Road, that whole stormwater system needs to be updated. Those are old catch basins. We need to bring them up to grade. Part of that is we'll have those pipes televised to see if the pipes need replaced too. Hopefully at that time, either at that intersection or to the north towards College, we can have a lateral running off of there that can assist her and her neighbor with the drainage problem. It's just something that, make you aware of it, we need to.
What should we do for the first steps, you think, to get
Well, I
someone
think,
kind of looking into it?
well, I think this spring, early summer, we need to get it televised, see what the jobs look like there.
Based on that.
Yes.
With community crossroads, we can also, if it's a joint, if it's with a street project, we can also do, limited amount of work for stormwater.
I think some of it, like that schoolhouse there on College Street, that now, with those new sidewalks, they've come up 8, 9 inches so high. They look nice and everything, but it's created a big, what it's doing is, the streets are putting 2, 3 inches a lot of times, the curbs and everything, all these new curbs. It's blocking a lot of that stuff, and it's holding in a few people's yards.
Well, the whole problem with all old town is, throughout all the years, you put more gravel on top of more gravel, and then you start putting asphalt on top of asphalt on top of asphalt. So, literally, you have a levee built around all the houses in a block, by, alleyways in the back and streets on the side, and they're all higher than the folks' yards.
Because like at schoolhouse, the one side walkway was always underwater, and then it freezes. It's just like an ice skating rink. That's what I think we need to really look at, some of these sidewalks around.
I've got a garage floor on Harrison Street, and it's an ice skating rink because water runs in the garage because it's the lowest thing in that area. Garage was built in
But maybe we ought to, what I'm getting at, maybe we ought to take the 220,000 and put it in sidewalks.
Any more comments from the residents?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Wait.
Reports.
Ron,
The only thing I got is, Michelle, have you checked if they got back to you on the audit or not?
Nope, calling her
Okay,
anything.
I'm gonna call him again. We need to keep pushing on that.
I've sent, I think, like 3 emails. Charlie Pry, right? I talked to him, and then Todd Caldwell, I think twice.
They both said they'd flag it and all that, but they need
Yeah.
to do something.
Ashley, anything?
No.
I want to say one other thing. I want to thank you guys for making, okaying that motion on these streets. I appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So when a motion made and properly seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Is the Starbucks still open? So much for that. I don't think this should be very long.
That does not play up there pretty good.
That's about done.
Well, you know what it is to justify that.
No, I think we're gonna develop it. See how they had it all printed up right away? Why else would they have that printed up? They don't even have it.
They went to that tree.
But they get printed.
Yeah, that's how you do it. So, I don't know. Anybody's gonna give it up, boys.
Shady Lane.
The idea of that water at that cost. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.